the Saturday Five.
You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
And
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
I'm Bev Turner. Thank you for joining us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The one-in, one-out migrant return deal begins today.
The government has announced that detentions are set to begin by the end of this week.
However, critics have hit out at the scheme with reports that only 50 people a week will be returned.
So, is this yet another gimmick scheme that will struggle to stay afloat?
Britain's prison system came within days of collapse on a number of occasions between autumn 2023 and summer 2024. This is a damning new report shedding light on the capacity crisis and urgent staffing issues.
Rail disruption is set to continue after Storm Floris battered Britain with 90 miles per hour winds yesterday, causing train cancellations and mass power cuts.
Students across Scotland will find out their exam results today. We'll be there live with these young people as they find out what their futures hold.
As just 1 in 7 of England's 355,000 primary school teachers are men, we're asking, do boys need more male role models?
And in sport, one of the greatest test series of all time took 57 minutes to end yesterday morning as England were bowled out by India, just 6 runs away from winning. Now, here's a confusing one. Could Newcastle's money help Liverpool buy Alexander Isak from them? Follow me. And Emma Raducanu, guess what, has got another new coach.
After a stormy day yesterday, it's much calmer today, albeit with some blustery winds and fairly frequent showers across northern parts. Stick around for the details.
Very nice to have your company this morning. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Now, one of the things we're going to discuss today is the lack of teachers that are men, especially, particularly in primary school. And I have to say, and if you care to pick up a copy of Eamonn Holmes, This Is My Life, it will be there documented. I've got about 3 pages devoted to my primary school male teacher, Mr. Paddy O'Hanlon,
right.
From when I was, what age? I'd have been about 8 to 11. So I was lucky enough to be taught with him by 3 years. Magnificent influence on my life. Never thought about it at the time, but there we go. But then the men after that just sort of disappeared. It was women.
See, role models, when people talk about role models, and often sportsmen, you know, coming from the sporting side, I've spoken to so many sportsmen and ex-sportsmen that say, well, that's not my job. Whereas my argument is...
It is your job.
It is your job. That is part of your job, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
You are a role model. So when you're in a position where you have kids that will look up to you, you have a responsibility to them, whether you like it or not.
Except a lot of people that I would have praised like that are bad role models, you could say.
Yes,
I mean,
yeah.
the Cantonas, the George Bests, you know.
Yeah. Well, they were your role model. That's where I could see where you were looking at, and that's where you go for. But that's it. But I think there is a responsibility there, and it's generally famous people and actors, and I know nobody's perfect, and they will argue and go, well, you know, it's not my problem. I shouldn't have to. But I think, unfortunately,
Part and parcel.
Exactly, don't you think? And it comes with the territory.
Did you have a role model?
I did, yeah, and I think teachers are a huge influence on your life. I mean, both my parents are teachers, so my dad is obviously a male teacher, and I imagine he would have been a role model to children in his class. I think it's really beneficial for young boys as well to have male teachers. I think that's really good.
Yeah.
But I don't know how many men want to be primary school teachers.
Yeah.
I don't know how much.
Funny enough, when I was younger, I did want to be a primary school teacher.
You?
Yeah, and I wanted, because I loved the whole idea. It didn't seem to me that there was a definite format to what we did. We learnt about Captain Cook, we learned about the Solomon Islands, we learnt about all sorts of things. It didn't seem there was a structure to it.
Yeah.
But there was this beautiful hunger in learning. But the reason I wanted to be a primary school teacher was that you could do that bit of teaching, and then you would take all these 10-year-olds out onto the football pitch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Play sports.
Yeah, and it was great that you could tell them what to do and they wouldn't answer you back. They'd be too young to answer you back.
Well, that's it. I think if I was I would much prefer to be a primary school teacher, because I love kids, and I imagine smaller kids. But when they start getting older, and that's when you see the difference, the secondary school kids, and I think when I was at school, you know, and it's just like, I really wouldn't be having to face some of the things that teachers face.
And the
these
disciplining.
days. And when they're younger, then surely it's not quite as difficult, and you're going to have the troubles. But I would love to have done that.
Yeah. No, it's like Sir Alex Ferguson said to me, he could not manage in today's age.
Yeah.
He could not, because the wokery and...
tech. Imagine everyone being glued to their phones and their tablets.
Yeah, well, and you can't shout at them, and I'm not saying you should be able to shout at them, but you can't shout at them, and you can't use the hairdryer treatment and all that.
Say if you've got some trouble, some kid that's really playing up, you go, please sit down, I appreciate it, please, if you would go, I guess that's as good as you can go.
Yeah, it can't be too critical.
The two words that everybody fears, it's my mental health. You're interfering with my mental health, and who's anybody to argue with that? That seems to be the way it is.
Anyway, let us know what you think on that one.
So I was in as a teacher, and now I've decided that I'm not going to be a teacher.
You're actually all right.
Yeah.
You would be good though.
I've quit already.
We had a chance, missed it.
Well, thanks for giving me a go.
Yeah.
I appreciate the chance.
Let us know what you think, though. Do you think we need more male primary school teachers? And do boys need more male role models?
We had some great characters as teachers. I mean, really, and I mean this in the best way, but when I think about it now, I'm smiling, because they'd walk about smoking, pipes they would have. Everybody had a pipe, you know, as well.
We had a guy that actually smoked the chalk. Because he was smoking all the time, he would sit there and he would do something, he would write on the board, and then he'd go... Mr. Lawson.
All that to come. OK, give us your memories of teachers, and if you think it is particularly important that men do have an influence in the classroom. or not. The time's 6 minutes past 6 o'clock on this Tuesday morning.
And to our top story today, Sir Keir Starmer's one-in, one-out migrant deal with France starts today. The government says anyone crossing the Channel will now face immediate detention and return within days.
Now, the EU has approved this pilot, which will please the Prime Minister because he loves being close to the EU, it has to say. And it lets the UK send people back to France if their claim is deemed inadmissible. I don't even know why we're talking about all this, because what a lot of nonsense all of this is. In the studio now, we've got Charlie Riley to give us his take on things. Charlie, forgive me, but I just can't read this muck day after day as if this is going to make one darn bit of difference.
Well, I think that's a sentiment that most people in the country will have. You know, the idea of a one-in, one-out scheme, nobody wants a like-for-like exchange. It's about getting the numbers down. It's about stopping, full stop, the numbers of people that are coming into this country. They don't want any people coming in across the boats, you know, the small boat crossings, where people who, as we've seen across the country, been put up in hotels, where that's created community tensions, where it's gone beyond, I think, just the idea of fairness and what is fair when people come into the country and who we should be looking after.
Do you know what I
but
see
it's about
here?
safety now.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Keir Starmer's love-in with the European Union, this again is another way for him to snuggle up and be all cosy and nice, and everybody else in Europe to say, oh, he's a good guy, he's been kicked out of Europe, but he doesn't really want it that way. Maybe we'll repair this rift.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. And look, you know, you've only got to go back to when the UK left the EU, and I think that was a divisive time, but time has moved on. You know, Macron at the time and the EU said that they wanted to punish Britain for Brexit, and I think this is part of it. You know, that's why we've given France so much money. I love France, but we've given them so much money, and they've not upheld their end of the bargain, it seems to me, apart from one dinghy that the police you saw just before Macron, conveniently, before Macron came over for his state visit, you saw the French police go into the water to try and slash the dinghy of a departing boat in an attempt to show to the British public that I think that they were doing something about it. But clearly they haven't done enough. And I think you're right. You know, Starmer seems to be a sort of an apologist about Brexit by trying to say, we'll do a deal, we'll give you lots of money, we'll do a one-for-one, like-for-like situation. That's not what the British people have voted for consistently now. And it goes all the way back to 2014, I think, when, you know, UKIP back in the day, another party headed up by Nigel Farage, won the European Union elections back in 2014. They then came out on top during the Brexit Party, I think, as well. You know, obviously Farage is now up in the polls. It has all been a slow movement towards immigration and illegal immigration. And the fact that this government can't even call it immigration, it's irregular migration. That is something that the public are just in a totally different tune to what the government's playing. And I think you're right. This is something that the public will look back on and think this is not what we want. Starmer is completely out of touch, and it's another cave into the EU.
In terms of a security perspective, is this a better deal in terms of having more control over those who come to our country? Because we've seen, haven't we, on the small boats, people taking out their documentation, their passports, their driving license, and just throwing them into the sea. Whereas here, at least, they'd have a family connection to Britain and they're subject to full documentation checks. You know exactly who's coming in.
Well, that's the claim. And
that's what we're being told, yeah.
Exactly. And so we'll have to see how that plays out in practice. But the reality is, I mean, are the French really going to allow people to just, you know, turn up on their shores and, queue up in Calais, you know, and claiming that they've got a connection to the UK, all the while just waiting there for somebody that hasn't got a connection to the UK or someone that has arrived in a small boat that hasn't got the documentation to be deported? Are France really just going to take on that individual? I think, you know, this is a pilot scheme for a year. So therefore, in itself, only being a year, is that a deterrent enough?
Charlie, how will it practically work? How do they see it now? We've got 800 or so migrants coming into the country every week. The maximum we can return is 50, as I understand it. But how? I mean, I just see this as a lawyer's dream. This will be so for everyone who comes, right, we've got a migrant, we're going to return them. Oh no, you're not. It'll go on forever.
Yes, so there's supposedly and should be UK border force and processing checks taking place side by side with French officials in France. So if somebody comes to France and says, I've got a claim to be in the UK or I've got a family connection, that person will be sort of held there until we can deport someone from the UK that's arrived on a small boat, on a dinghy, as Ellie said, someone that hasn't got the documentation or anything like that. and then they will be deported to France, and it'll be a sort of a swapsy sort of situation. But how many people can both France and the UK accommodate? You're right, it's earmarked for about 50 people, I think, a week, which is not good enough in terms of the daily numbers that we're seeing, and entering, well, we're in August now, but entering what should be a summery period where the calm conditions will always be there. We're going to see more and more people taking up that small boat crossing.
What irritates me, amongst the many things that irritate me, are being lectured to by the Prime Minister or the Home Secretary or the Foreign Secretary that this is a really good deal for Britain. How on earth? I mean, do you want to just say to these people, do you think we're all stupid?
I think that is absolutely right, because you can't take the British public for fools. They can see through when government is either on the ropes or trying to spin you a fast one, and they will see that this is not what the public want, a one in, one out. They just want the whole boats issue to stop. Trying to tell people, on the one hand, if we had riots last summer, that it was all part of a far-right bandwagon. Now, of course, we're seeing more peaceful protests, but more protests nonetheless, on the back of illegal immigration, on the back of people's safety. When you're hearing reports not just of people that have come into the country, they're getting free accommodation, they're getting their healthcare, they're getting £50 a week or whatever, they're able to work as a food delivery driver, it seems to be illegally. You know, we're now talking about people that haven't been prosecuted but are charged for crimes against women and girls, sexual and violent crimes of people that have broken into the country, effectively. That has got to stop. That is why the country is now at that tipping point and that breaking point, I think. And so the idea that the Prime Minister and Number 10 and, you know, old political advisors like, you know, me would have said to the Prime Minister, oh, I think it'd be a really good idea during this sort of summer of, what could be a summer of discontent, just have a one in, one out scheme, Prime Minister. You know, that'll tell the public, that'll wash. It doesn't. So I don't know who's advising the people in Number 10. I don't know why the Prime Minister thinks that it was acceptable last year to call it a far-right bandwagon when actually the public mood is very much behind wanting the government to get behind stopping this issue. And, you know, you have minister after minister sort of saying, well, if it's things like, you know, the rape gang scandal that we had, a different topic, but nonetheless, the idea that you can't talk about these things, otherwise you'd be deemed a racist, or you can't talk about these things because otherwise you'd be, you know, a fruitcake, closet racist, a crackpot. Now that whole tinderbox is open because for too long we haven't been able to talk about these serious issues in the UK, and I think that's now, coupled with immigration, coupled with the crimes that we're seeing, coupled with our prisons being filled by foreign nationals, it is all, as I say, a boiling point which I don't think the UK can cope with for much longer.
Do you think something has changed, though, in the past year? I mean, the Prime Minister was describing it as a far-right bandwagon, people who were involved in the protests last year. But those that are involved in the protests this year, I mean, we're seeing mothers with placards saying, I'm not far-right, I'm just worried about my children. I'm worried about my little girls. Do you think the Prime Minister would respond differently now to protests that he's saying?
I think he's got to, and I think he's been forced to because of those images. You know, these aren't far-right thugs that just turn up. These are mothers, these are women, these are girls, these are children, these are community folk who really care about their community, where they've got a hotel or any kind of local accommodation that's been taken over by the Home Office that is now housing illegal migrants who are going on to be arrested, who have been charged, not yet prosecuted, not yet sort of put in prison yet, potentially. But, you know, it creates this uncertainty, it creates this fear. And, of course, you know, you've got to then accept, well, is there a far left? As I personally think there has been a far left in this country, but people who turn up as those now counter-protesters to stir the hate, you know, to call those people that are protesting, you know, fascists or racists. You know, there has to be a serious look at this country, and I think that, you know, the Labour government, you know, to put it politely, needs to look in the mirror and say, what country have we got, and have we actually been on the side of the people of this country? Have we got it right? And I think that they've sort of discovered that they've made some of the big calls, they've got it wrong. Scrapping the Rwanda scheme, I think, was the wrong thing to do. That was a deterrent. Didn't get off the ground. We'd never had the time to get it off the ground, so to speak. But I think that allowed people to sort of say, right, OK, come on, folk, let's jump in the boats. We can get over there because we're not at least going to get deported to Rwanda.
Yeah.
We're going to be put up in a nice five-star hotel. So I think that was a mistake. Calling out people for being far right was a mistake.
The
So there's got to be a shift.
incompetency of politicians and the political system around this whole country is unbelievable. And we're going to be talking about the failure in prisons, for instance, how we can't even hold. I mean, what did you think of that, incidentally? Just you know, the idea that there could have been mass breakouts in prisons all around the country because, and this is not a new factor or a new problem, we haven't got enough staff, we haven't got enough facilities, we haven't got enough places in prisons.
Yeah, I think it's, again, you know, one of the issues that I think lots of people worry about, prisoners being able to sort of run riot, you know, when they're supposed to be in prison. You're not supposed to be doing that. I'm glad that prison officers now have been, I think there's a trial to give them tasers, which might contain some of those potential breakouts. But, you know, you're seeing day in, day out, you know, a prisoner, you know, the prisoner that was responsible for the Manchester Arena attack, who then went on to assault prison officers with butter. You know, a total disgrace. He's now got their privileges back.
I'm going to say something. Tell me whether you agree or not. We talk about what our taxes are being spent on, and a lot of people, migrants, for instance, is not a good area for people thinking this is a good use of my tax money. But spending tax money on prison officers, on police officers, on prison cells, who wakes up in the morning and said, I'm going to object about this?
Well, exactly. I think that's why, you know, Nigel Farage this summer, he's using as a crime sort of, you know, campaign where he's brought out a few policies where he said he would create those sort of Nightingale prisons like we saw during COVID, those Nightingale hospitals. He wants to create more prisons, and that will create more prison places and more officers, and that's why I think he's doing so well.
Charlie's had his say for the past few minutes. Your say, very welcome. Have your say. Get in touch. What do you think about this one in, one out system? And we'll reflect that throughout the programme today. Will it work? Has it got no chance? Let us know what you think.
Now, 18 minutes past 6. Today marks 2 years since the Cricket House near Dudley was burnt down in a suspected arson attack.
Now, the Cricket House was a pub, right? And it was a wonky pub.
Had a lot of charm.
It wasn't straight, OK. No. So there was a fire, and then the developers of the area knocked the pub down, and it sparked outrage. But campaigners say they are still hopeful it can and it will be rebuilt.
Well, our national reporter Jack Carson looks back on the past 2 years.
It's like a death. You can say, oh, what if, but it's gone.
The whole of the community is so sad, and they're slowly getting angry now.
We're going to fight every corner we can to get justice for what's happened here.
2 years ago, a community was in grief. Today, they're more determined than ever. When the Cricket House was gutted by a suspected arson attack and then illegally demolished, the people of the Black Country felt like it was a blitz on their history. Originally built in the 18th century, the pub suffered subsidence because of mining in the area, giving its unique appearance that visitors fell in love with. In February last year, South Staffordshire Council served an enforcement order on the owners ATE Farms, ordering them to rebuild the pub within 3 years. After appealing the order and a subsequent decision from the High Court, the planning enforcement inquiry will have to wait until any potential criminal proceedings have concluded. Investigations by the police are ongoing. For the campaigners who want to see this landmark rebuilt, the passion is only stronger, as Paul Turner from Save the Cricket House explains.
Well, we all felt it was ours. You know, we're Black Country people. We felt that, you know, this is our area, this is our iconic pub. This is people come from miles around and from all over the world. All of a sudden, just like that, it's gone. We're always very proud of it. Although it's had different owners over the years, it was always ours as a community. Got a lot to think about if the Cricket House is ever going to be built. There's lots of legal issues. The site isn't ours. We can't rebuild the Cricket House, so it's very, very complicated legally. But we know what our end goal is, and how we actually get to that end goal is going to be a little bit complicated. But we're still focusing on that.
For local councillor Ian Sandall, the pub meant so much more than just a place to drink. He says conversations with those in power need to continue to keep the pressure on.
part of the problem and part of the public grief is the fact that it was ripped away so quickly, so suddenly, without even a thought to the black country heritage and our black country culture. We've got to keep pushing this in the offices of people that can make a difference, and that is exactly what's happening behind the scenes.
As part of a partnership with the Campaign for Real Ales, people are being urged to mark the anniversary by raising a glass and toasting the Crooked House across social media. While there's still anger in this community at what happened 2 years ago, campaigners have not lost hope that the world's wonkiest pub will rise from the rubble. Jack Carson, GB News.
But how could they actually rebuild that? Look at the massive rubble that's been turned into. I hope they do.
Yeah, I hope they do.
Get it.
The community love it, don't they?
Yeah.
Special to them.
But obviously, you know, with developers and whatever, I mean, the easy option for them always is knock it down. And sometimes the stuff put in its place is not always as good. Can we get a pub as wonky as that one was? Let us know your views on that. You've been good letting us know your views on everything we've been talking about. Gordon was a teacher. He said he used to teach karate. And as I always say, I love kids, especially when I give them back to their parents. The migrants thing, Christopher says it's a shambles.
Yeah.
Having male teachers, Sean says, I went to an all-boys school in the early 70s. The teachers were great apart from the one who used the slipper, who would whack you with the slipper if you didn't do your homework. I don't know what I'm laughing at. If anybody did that to my kids, I'd be outraged. But that was standard form.
Yeah. My primary school were all nuns and they were vicious, says Sean. North says, yes, boys need male role models, but then so do girls. Dads are a good start, but equally it could be an uncle or a godfather, a sports team coach, or any guy who is consistent in a child's life. I think that's true.
Yeah.
And on the returns deal, Bobby says, how many of the 50 that returned each week will be free to try again and come here on a boat? And Keith makes the same point, saying how many of those people on the one in, one out scheme will just try and come back again?
Yeah. OK, after Floris AF, let's find out how the country's looking today. Alex Burkle with the weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, very good morning to you. I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, Storm Floris is clearing away and we are going to see the strongest winds really easing out as well. But there are plenty of showers to watch out for, piling in on those brisk, blustery north-northwesterly winds. So further heavy showers across Scotland, Northern Ireland, feeding into parts of Northern England and perhaps North Wales as well. In between the showers, there will be some sunny spells, but it's across southern areas where the sunshine is going to be pretty prolonged. And in that sunshine, temperatures, well, not quite as high as they have been through some recent days, but nonetheless getting into the low, possibly mid-20s. A few degrees fresher than this further north and feeling it because of those blustery winds. Like I said, those winds are easing and so they're going to continue to drop out as we go through this evening, and the showers are going to start to ease and clear away from the west as well. That being said, there will still be a scattering of showers across many parts of Scotland as we go through the end of the day. Turning dry though across Northern Ireland, a few showers for parts of Northern England, but much of Wales, central southern England, it is looking fine to end the day with some late sunshine around as well. Overnight, all those showers are going to die out and clear away, but there is going to be a spell of more cloud and a bit of rain affecting the far north of Scotland. Elsewhere, though, largely dry and with a ridge of high pressure building that's going to calm things down. With clear skies and lighter winds, perfect ingredients for temperatures to take a bit of a drop. Yes, towns and cities will hold up in double figures, but in more rural spots, it is going to turn pretty cool, could drop to mid-single figures in a few places. A bit of a cloudy start tomorrow morning across the far north of Scotland, but the cloud and the rain here is going to clear away, and then for many it's fine and sunny for a large chunk of the day before a bit more cloud pushes in from the west later on, and we are going to see some further wet weather arriving in the far west later. That's going to spread across most parts on Thursday. Temperatures for many tomorrow up a couple of degrees on today. Bye-bye.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Now, 25 minutes past 6. Do stay with us. Still to come, sports next with Paul Coit.
This is our country, and we think it's amazing. From high tea to the high street, we love it all. Even the rain, we like that too. There's nowhere else we'd rather be. That's why we're here to be the fearless champion of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we are GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We're going to start sport this morning by looking back at the cricket, the Test match, England and India yesterday, and what a spectacle.
It was a spectacle.
Yeah.
It really was. And even non-cricket people are now looking there thinking, especially with the Ashes coming in the winter. So that's the next test coming up where England will be going over to Australia to play the Ashes.
But the theatre of it all, Paul, this guy Woke's coming out and he just didn't got his arms strapped up. He had his jumper over the top of his arm.
I know. See, this is... Now, look at... For those that are listening on the radio, we've got the picture there of Chris Wokes, who dislocated his arm. The thing is, you know, it was really bizarre. It was like this was on Thursday, the start of the match. And he'd fallen over and they said, suspected dislocated, we think dislocated. I'll tell you, you know when you've dislocated your arm, for crying out loud. And
you're a great arm dislocator, aren't you?
I'm actually the world record dislocating arm man. And I've done it 14 times, I think it was, in the end. So when it comes out, you know. So 3 or 4 days on, I don't know if it's the first time he's done it because then it'll continue. So you've got to keep it in a sling because it's still painful. Because what it's doing... This is the medical part of the show, by the way, is that it will come out, the ball will come out of the socket, and then it stretches all the muscles around it. So that's why it's going to be so painful. So then is all the scar tissue, so he's going to be in pain anyway for quite some time. So then, because England desperately needed him to bat because he wasn't going to take any further part in the match. England needing 35 runs, the wickets start to tumble, so is it going to be a situation where he's going to have to walk up to the crease? So it was. So he was ready, and Ben Stokes had already said, you know, well, it's up to you, but, you know, we'd appreciate that. So he's all strapped up,
didn't he?
Inside the jumper. Yeah. And you could see when he actually... there's part of me that... I know it's bad, but I did want to see what would happen if he faced a ball, you know? And what would happen if Mohammad Siraj comes running in, bowling 90-mile-an-hour ball at him while he's standing there. Would they have done that?
Yeah.
I think they would have done. So anyway, he did have to run, and you could see him grimacing. He didn't have to face a ball, but in the end, 6 runs short. 6 runs short. So
one of the greatest Test matches ever.
It really was. It really was. It was terrific. So...
Let's get into the football situation. A lot of transfer news going on, and a lot of it involving Liverpool in various ways. So fill us in there.
Right, Alexander Isak. Now, Alexander Isak...
No chance in Newcastle selling him.
Yeah, and they don't want to sell him. They want... And if he goes... He's got 3 years left on his contract. 150 million is the minimum they would want for him because he's a fantastic player.
115 million.
150.
150.
Yeah, 150 if he's going to go. So Liverpool have made a bid for him too low. Newcastle have said no. Now, he has said he wants to go. He'd actually been training. He didn't go on their tour to the...
Well, Liverpool are serious because this was a £110 million bid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Newcastle is still standing firm. Now, this is what's interesting, is that Newcastle could actually be the club that funds Alexander Isak leaving their club. Now, I'll tell you why.
No, explain that to me.
I will try my best. Now, Darwin Núñez could leave Liverpool.
Right.
For Al Hilal, which is owned by the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund, who also own Newcastle United.
Yeah.
So what would happen is that they would then buy Núñez from Liverpool, which then gives Liverpool more money to buy Alexander Isak from them whilst they're running Newcastle.
150 million, but I mean, whew.
It's a lot of money.
A lot of money.
A lot of money. But there's a point these days where you'd like the idea that a club could say, you know what, no, you're our player, you stay. But there's so much player power, and I've seen it years ago, but where players would go, well, I'm not going to play. What you going to do? What you going to do, buddy? You're going to stick or twist? So you either just leave me to rot there in the reserves, which we'd like to, you think that'd be the great way because then or you're going to sell me. So I think eventually this transfer will happen.
Now, Liverpool, they were playing in a friendly yesterday and they put on display £270 million worth of new signings.
I know, it's amazing. Florian Wirtz, you've got Hugo Ekitike, who signed, Milos Kerkez. These are all really great names.
But they're doing the right thing out there. They're investing while they can, while they're on top.
And also what's clever about Liverpool, and when David comes in, he'll probably tell you because he's Liverpool through and through, they sell players before. I mean, Ferguson used to do this as well. Before they go over and start heading downhill, sell them while they're at a premium, and then you can bring more players in. Instead of hanging on to a player and thinking, well, he's not as good as he used to be, now we sell him. They sell them when they're good, but just before they're about to turn. So that's what Liverpool do really well.
Can we have a quick look at Emma Raducanu?
Guess what?
She's got a new coach.
Yeah, I know. What are the chances?
But this is the best coach ever.
Well, he's worked with Rafa Nadal. So since 2021, Emma's had 8 coaches, 8 different coaches. So now it's Mark Pecci, but Mark Pecci does a lot of TV, so he can't continue that. So Rafa Nadal's former coach, Francisco Roig, 57-year-old Spaniard, and he worked with Nadal's uncle, who was his main coach, 18 years with Nadal, so therefore he's going to go with Emma Raducanu. And Emma wouldn't have played like Rafa Nadal. So there we go.
Well, best of luck to them.
Yes, of course. 8th time lucky, this could be the one.
8th time lucky.
9th time lucky. Or is it 10th? I'm not sure. But US Open coming up.
Thanks, Paul. And I hope you'll be lucky in our Great British Giveaway competition. Have a go.
This is your chance to live mortgage or rent-free for an entire year in the latest Great British Giveaway. That's right, we'll give you a cash lump sum that will cover 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, up to an incredible £20,000. Plus, we'll add £5,000 on top of that for you to treat yourself. And if you don't have a mortgage or rent to pay, lucky you, we'll give you £15,000 in cash instead. You have to hurry though, as lines will close on the 29th of August. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
That'll be a good start to your day. Today is a Tuesday, and hopefully whatever you're doing is a good one. Here's time for Daily Reflection with Andrew Latimer.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hi, my name is Andrew Latimer. I'm a Church of England minister at Grace Church in Greenwich. Back in 2005, Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple, he gave a speech at Stanford University, and it's been listened to, I think, 30 million times on YouTube, and it's been a great inspiration to lots of people. And in the speech, he said this: "Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. Because almost everything, all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or failure, these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important." So Steve Jobs, his big message to us is to try and live with a whole life perspective. He wants us to make decisions which make sense in the context of the whole life we live. And it seems very good advice as far as it goes. Jesus, he encourages us to go one step further and to live life not just with a whole life perspective, but from a whole eternity perspective. Jesus said this, "Do not work for food that spoils, but for food that endures to eternal life." He's saying there's lots of things that we can pursue in life which are basically perishing, food that spoils. But instead, Jesus calls us to run after what actually lasts and endures, a relationship with our Creator that not even death can snatch away. And that's what it means, not just to live with a whole life perspective, but with a whole eternity perspective.
And Andrew Latimer reflecting on how long he's got to live. None of us really know how long we've got to live. And in the case of my friend James Whale, he passed away yesterday at the age of 74. And what a character he was. I've known him from the mid-80s, actually. And he's a shock jock on TV. And first time I interviewed him, he was shaking. He was so nervous with everybody. We became very, very, very good friends. Last saw him a couple of weeks ago, and it's very sad. You don't really know what to say, but I know he was prepared for death. He was prepared, and Nadine, his wife, what an amazing woman. What an absolutely amazing woman. She looked after James, and she took care of his pain and everything, which is now gone. But her pain is ahead because she's left behind now, and they were very, very close. So Nadine, our condolences to you and to the whole family, and mate, we'll miss you. Here's the travel.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A9 Kessock Bridge is closed to high-sided vehicles due to strong winds. M4 eastbound at junction 24, Coldra has planned maintenance, closing slip roads with diversions in place. On the M1 southbound, a broken-down vehicle between junction 31 and 30 closes one lane. Expect delays as removal is underway. The M4 eastbound between junction 13 and 12 faces disruptions due to a collision with 2 of 3 lanes closed. Traffic is expected to improve later. And on the trains, Great Western Railway reports disruptions between Plymouth and Gunnislake, with Island Line operating reduced service. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Now, do stay with us. Still to come, we'll be going through the papers with David Wooding and Esther Kraku. That's next.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie's here.
I'm Michelle Chu from Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday Five. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
So much to talk about this morning, and we're going to talk about it with David Wooding and Esther Kraku. Very nice to have you both here. It's my first time talking to you, Esther, so that's very good. Thank you very much for coming in. Small boats, guys, are dominating the news. They're dominating our newspaper review as well. Not a lot of people have a lot of faith in this whole project, David.
No, well, this is the big flagship announcement that Keir Starmer made a couple of weeks ago, that he's going to deal with France to send migrants back. And the news, according to the Daily Telegraph this morning, is that within days, the first batch of illegal migrants who cross the channel on small boats will be sent back to France. The problem is that not even in the small print, I think we all know this, that the deal is to send about 50 a week back. And also, the deal will only last, it says in the Daily Mail today, for 11 months. So that means by the end of the contract that we have with France, only 2,300 will have been sent back. That's against 25,000 who have arrived already this year. We're only halfway through, so perhaps it's 1 in 20 of those who arrive will be sent back. And we will have to take one back for everyone that we send back, a migrant, well, an asylum seeker or a person who's got people with refugee status already in the UK. So 1 in, 1 out, as we're told. It's more than one in, for sure.
And that's before the lawyers get involved as well.
Well, of course, once you get the lawyers.
Esther, is there any mileage in this deal? What do you think?
Well, it's not hopeful. So the idea here is meant to disrupt the business model because people smugglers don't actually know which of their clients could be potentially sent back. But the number is hopelessly low. I mean, 50 a week is insultingly low. I think these kinds of measures actually tend to annoy the public more than actually generate the kinds of positive headlines the Labour Party are hoping for, because it's like you're messing with people's anger and anxiety. If this is the best you can do after 14 years in opposition and bleating on about being the adults in the room and having a plan to sort this out, it's insulting almost.
Well, people don't want a like-for-like exchange, do they? I mean, people just want to see the numbers coming down.
The message is clear. There's no case for illegal migration, and they also want to see legal migration figures drop significantly amid all the sort of public services problems that we're having in this country. So there's not much faith in this deal. And the only real way to solve this is to break the business model, which is if you come to the UK via this route, you will never be allowed to seek asylum. That's that simple. There are people who should be ahead of the queue that don't have a few thousand quid to pay people smugglers. I think that's a very sound argument.
And David, is that the only way that it becomes the deterrent?
Well, the deterrent they had was the Rwanda scheme, but that was scrapped within hours of Keir Starmer walking into number 10. Now, he said it didn't work, and one of the reasons it didn't work was because lawyers keep interfering with what the elected government tried to do. So it is difficult, but you do need a deterrent. And as France said recently, Britain has become an El Dorado for migrants who want to come here, and we have to try and make it less attractive for them to come here.
Well, where is the El Dorados weather-wise today? Let's go out and about and find out. Here's the European picture. Back with these guys right after this.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, very good morning to you. I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, Storm Floris is clearing away and we are going to see the strongest winds really easing out as well. But there are plenty of showers to watch out for, piling in on those brisk, blustery north-northwesterly winds. So further heavy showers across Scotland, Northern Ireland, feeding into parts of Northern England and perhaps North Wales as well. In between the showers, there will be some sunny spells, but it's across southern areas where the sunshine is going to be pretty prolonged. And
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Dale, so what's all this about? You're involved in this scheme. The idea is that people who've got depression need to get out and about, and football's a good way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you summed it up really rather well there. Football is a place for communities. It's a place where you feel a part of something. I know this from my experience of football. I've been running Forest Green for about 15 years now. And chatting to our local GP, who happens to be also our MP, but we just had the idea, why don't we offer football on prescription? Because it'd be a lovely thing to do. Football is a great place to come and meet other people and be a part of something. And it could really help people that are feeling isolated and lonely and you know, other aspects of mental health. So I'm really happy to be taking part in this, and if it works here in Stroud, then we're hoping we'll roll it out nationally, and maybe even the NHS will embrace it as a national programme. That would be great.
This is football clubs that have signed up to voluntarily offer seats to be a part of this programme.
Yeah, and right now it's one football club, Forest Green Rovers, but I hope that football clubs up and down the country and up and down the leagues of football as well, because it doesn't have to be a Premier Championship club. You know, there are lots of great leagues in our country and local clubs for people to go and take part with. So yeah, it's not being paid for by the NHS. It's being paid for currently by Forest Green Rovers.
You're a businessman, though. Surely you must see some, some dollar signs on this one. Sell the tickets to the NHS.
Well, I'm British, so I don't look at dollar signs. But look, I'm primarily an environmentalist, and what I care about is making our country a better place. I spend most of my time pursuing the green economy, but I believe in tax justice, social justice, that kind of stuff. Mental health is a crisis in our country, particularly for men. It's the biggest cause of suicide for the under 50s. Men are affected 3 times more than women. Men don't tend to talk to each other. They don't talk about their problems. And so this is not about money.
GB News, the People's Channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
And then next couple of minutes, you've got David and Esther. They've got stories in the papers. The schools VAT, the private schools VAT raid, David, is picking up attention today because it appears there is a way around it.
Yes, they've. These are the parents of children at the very top private schools who have decided if they pay their fees in advance, and they must obviously have the money to be able to do that, they will avoid the fees. I remember actually doing this when they put VAT on fuel, on your energy bills. I had a spare couple of £1,000 in the bank and I just threw it at the gas board. Yeah. And that meant that, I had money in advance for the next couple of years, which meant I didn't pay VAT. But of course, it'll be a lot more to do this with private schools. And effectively, there's about £500 million now being paid in advance to the top public schools.
But the Chancellor's not going to take this line down, it's thought.
No, they'll have to find a way around this. But, I mean, I don't know, legally, if you've paid your fees already before VAT has come in, you're probably OK. But that's going to deprive the Exchequer of £100 million. And that's only the top schools. If the young, if those of the lower who can't afford, who are struggling to pay those fees, have just taken their children out. I think there's about 10,000 children have been taken out of private schools. So those who are struggling to pay it are not putting an added strain on the system, and the others are paying the money.
Esther, there's a strain on feeding animals at a zoo in Denmark. What's going on there?
So a zoo in Denmark has asked for donations of healthy small pets to be gently euthanized and fed to predators like the European lynx, which is a wild cat. And so this Aalborg Zoo is urging willing owners of chickens, rabbits and guinea pigs to hand over their pets. Now, I'm surprised anyone would keep chickens as pets because I don't typically see chickens as anything but dinner. But they're just asking them to hand them over so they can be eaten whole by
Who would agree to that? Who would agree to that?
Well, if you don't like your pet...
Well, clearly, you'd have to not like them very much, handing them over to be eaten.
Well, look, the thing we want to say to you, if you're watching or listening to this and you have a chicken as a pet, email us a picture of that chicken and tell us about your little pet there, and we'll enjoy looking at that.
Do chickens make good pets?
Yeah, my friend's got lots of chickens and she loves them dearly. Esther, David, thank you very much indeed. We're going to get a check on the weather now with Alex Burkham.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, very good morning to you. I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, Storm Floris is clearing away and we are going to see the strongest winds really easing out as well. But there are plenty of showers to watch out for, piling in on those brisk, blustery north-northwesterly winds. So further heavy showers across Scotland, Northern Ireland, feeding into parts of Northern England and perhaps North Wales as well. In between the showers, there will be some sunny spells, but it's across southern areas where the sunshine is going to be pretty prolonged. And in that sunshine, temperatures, well, not quite as high as they have been through some recent days, but nonetheless getting into the low, possibly mid-20s. A few degrees fresher than this further north and feeling it because of those blustery winds. Like I said, those winds are easing and so they're going to continue to drop out as we go through this evening, and the showers are going to start to ease and clear away from the west as well. That being said, there will still be a scattering of showers across many parts of Scotland as we go through the end of the day. Turning dry though across Northern Ireland, a few showers for parts of Northern England, but much of Wales, central southern England, it is looking fine to end the day with some late sunshine around as well. Overnight, all those showers are going to die out and clear away, but there is going to be a spell of more cloud and a bit of rain affecting the far north of Scotland. Elsewhere, though, largely dry and with a ridge of high pressure building that's going to calm things down. With clear skies and lighter winds, perfect ingredients for temperatures to take a bit of a drop. Yes, towns and cities will hold up in double figures, but in more rural spots, it is going to turn pretty cool, could drop to mid-single figures in a few places. A bit of a cloudy start tomorrow morning across the far north of Scotland, but the cloud and the rain here is going to clear away, and then for many it's fine and sunny for a large chunk of the day before a bit more cloud pushes in from the west later on, and we are going to see some further wet weather arriving in the far west later. That's going to spread across most parts on Thursday. Temperatures for many tomorrow up a couple of degrees on today. Bye-bye.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A9 Kessock Bridge is currently closed to high-sided vehicles due to strong winds, making driving challenging. Planned maintenance on the M4 at junction 24, Coldra, has led to the closure of both exit and entry slip roads, with diversions in place. In West Berkshire, a road traffic incident occurred on the M4 eastbound between junction 13 and junction 12, resulting in 2 of 3 lanes being closed. This situation is expected to improve by 9:30 this morning. Additionally, on the trains, Great Western Railway services are disrupted between Plymouth and Gunnerslake, and the Island Line is running a reduced service. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
This is your chance to live mortgage or rent-free for an entire year. We'll give you a cash lump sum that will cover 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, up to an incredible £20,000. Plus, we'll add £5,000 on top of that for you to treat yourself. You have to hurry though, as lines will close on the 29th of August. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Good morning. The one-in, one-out migrant return deal will begin today.
It will, and the government has announced that detentions are set to begin by the end of the week.
Well, critics have hit out at the scheme, with reports that only 50 people a week will be returned to France to start with.
So is this yet another gimmick scheme that will struggle to stay afloat?
Britain's prison system came within days of collapse on a number of occasions between autumn 2023 and summer of 2024. A damning new report sheds light on the capacity crisis and urgent staffing issues.
Rail disruption is set to continue after Storm Florence battered Britain with 90-mile-per-hour winds yesterday, causing train cancellations and mass power cuts.
Students across Scotland find out their exam results today. We'll be live with some young people as they find out their futures.
And as just 1 in 7 of England's 350,000 primary school teachers are men, we're asking, do boys need more male role models?
And in sport, one of the greatest test series of all time finally ended yesterday. Took 57 minutes to finish as England were bowled out by India, just 6 runs away from winning the game. Now, could Newcastle's money help Liverpool buy Alexander Isak from them? Think about that one. And Emma Raducanu has got another new coach.
After a stormy day yesterday, it's much calmer today, albeit with some blustery winds and fairly frequent showers across northern parts. Stick around for the details.
Hello there, very good morning to you on this Tuesday morning. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast. Now, you are safer on a plane if the pilot is a woman, according to the Daily Mail this morning. This is a new study out today that says that although 90% of pilots are men, women are actually calmer in the cockpit than men.
Right.
Yes. They have unique
women
strengths.
are keener to follow rules and regulations, whereas men might just go off-piste a little bit.
You don't want a pilot that's going to go off-piste, though, do you?
No, but I'll tell you, I've no difficulty with women pilots at all. But I can remember a time, 15 years or so ago, being on a plane where a number of passengers got off when they heard that it was a woman.
No.
Really?
Are you serious? Really?
Yeah. Well, you think about it, it wasn't common 15, 20 years ago.
Well, it's not common now, is it? Only 10% are women.
Well, I suppose it's not. I suppose you're right. Although I was talking to one last week. Yeah. But it's fascinating. I always would have loved to have been a pilot.
I bet you.
I think it's
I
the
knew you were
coolest
going to say.
job ever.
It's their uniform, isn't it? The epaulets.
No, I would prefer to
And the travel.
No, I prefer
cool.
to fly a starship, really, but I'd settle for an airplane.
Yeah, but apparently this is testing. So they put 20 male pilots and 20 female pilots in the same simulator,
Right.
and they got them to respond to stressful situations. And apparently the women were calmer and had a more consistent approach, whereas men would be a bit more.
How do they do that then? We go, oh, we're crashing, we're crashing.
I
What do
guess
you
so.
do to try and stress them out then?
Something like that, but apparently women were more consistent and were more accurate and better at dealing with
You know
difficult
what?
decisions
I
and
believe
stressful
that.
times.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, so there you go.
I'm not surprised.
So they're hoping now that means that companies will hire more women to be pilots and maybe try and have
I don't think there's
equal numbers.
These days. I don't think there's any oh well, we're going to go with them. We're going to go with the man. Is there? Surely not. Or am I being extremely
You wouldn't
naive?
think so.
I tell you, within a few years, 7 years or 8 years, they'll not be hiring any pilots. It'll all be remote.
Oh, I don't understand it.
Would you go on one of those though?
Wouldn't think too positively about it. No.
No. See, the thing is, with pilots, they always say that it's just in case they're there because everything is taken up once it's up.
Don't they just do the takeoff and the landing and the rest of it's all automated?
Yeah, that's
Is that right? Yeah.
My wife worked for British Airways for quite a few years, and they call them Klingons. If you were a friend, that's what it is. If you are a friend of someone working on the flight, you will be called a Klingon. So then you have to meet. And she said once, look, there's a girl that I'm working with. Her boyfriend, it's his first time being the Klingon. So could you... So I said, yeah, no problem. So anyway, I was walking along with him and I said, have you ever flown with her before? And he's gone, no, I've not flown with her before. So I said, look, it's great because the thing is, they'll be able to take you up to the cockpit and then you can see it. And he's going, oh, that's great. So we were talking about work and he never said anything about because I was saying about what I did and he was going, all right. So anyway, it was only afterwards. I said, so what does he do for a living? She goes, oh, he's a pilot for Monarch. And I'm going, oh, you see that button there?
How amazing
you want to do that, and I'll tell you, let's button there. And he's going, oh, really? Really? And, we just think...
And he was too polite.
Too polite. Well, why didn't you tell me? He said, you're having such a nice time telling me all
This
about
probably
it.
happened to you as well, but I mean, before 9/11, when you were allowed to go into the cockpit, and, I would commute to Belfast every single week, and they all got to know me, and they say, Eamonn, come on into the cockpit. And I would spend so many flights, and coming into somewhere like Heathrow, massive
unbelievable, isn't it?
airline, at night time, 10 o'clock at night, all those lights coming down, it's incredible.
Wow.
Did you get the epaulets and please, can I wear the hat? Yeah.
Definitely did.
And they have the big case walking along.
That's what it used to be, didn't it? I remember as kids, my parents took me up to the front, and then the kids could go in the cockpit and sit in the chair. And you definitely couldn't do that now.
Yeah. Couldn't do
But it was
that.
great
Yeah,
fun.
absolutely.
Great fun.
Well,
Anyway, let's see
welcome
what
to
you
our
think.
show today, which I'd love to say to you is great fun, but same old rubbish we're talking about that politicians can't get a hold of. So today is different in that Starmer is bringing in his one-in, one-out migrant deal with France.
Yes, the government says anyone crossing the channel will now face immediate detention and return within days.
Well, the EU-approved pilot lets the UK send people back to France if their claim is deemed inadmissible. Now, so in exchange for asylum seekers with ties to Britain, I'm reading this thing and think, what the heck does this mean? Because it ain't going to happen. And lawyers will get involved and it'll all be... Blah, blah, blah. Charlie Riley's with us in the studio now to give us his take on this. Sorry, Charlie, there's a big explanation with all of this, but I don't believe with, 2,300 or so coming in per week, and no, 2,300 is the most we could possibly send back in a year. And there's 25,000 a year.
Exactly. And, I've been thinking about this for the last hour since I was on. And you're absolutely right. This is a lawyer's field day because what is deemed inadmissible, that is lawyer speak coming from a lawyer, the Prime Minister anyway. And you'll have people that turn up who say, no, I still have a claim, I'm still trying to seek asylum, or I still have a genuine cause to be here. And it'll take not days for this to be processed, it'll take weeks and months. And that means that those people will still end up in UK hotels at the expense of the taxpayer, because I don't think this government, being led by a lawyer, not a leader, in my humble opinion, won't have the gumption to be able to sort of take the bull by the horns and actually get on with deporting people that shouldn't be here. And
it's a massive misuse of public money. When you think about it, the government's main priority is the safety and security of people who are British citizens. And look at the amount of money we're spending on just containing what's going on here.
Exactly, and it's shifted from being an issue about fairness, where people come into the country illegally, they get put up in a 4- or 5-star, 3-star hotel, they get their £50 up to £50 a week in terms of benefit, they can have their dental treatment or go and see an NHS doctor to get any kind of treatment sorted. They're able to, it seems, work illegally, whether it's through delivery driving, whether it's in nail bars, whether it's through hairdressers, whether it's through car washes, whatever it is that the Home Office claims that it's cracking down on as well. That is a pull factor. And it does cost a lot of money. Now, the Rwanda scheme under the last government, that also cost a lot of money. It didn't get going. And I was watching, I think you had Oscar on yesterday, who's a brilliant guy who I know very well. I disagree with him a little bit because he said he was in number 10 as he was, and he said that, that the scheme didn't get going. I don't think it was a failure of the scheme. I think it was a failure maybe of some people in number 10, not Oscar, just to be able to say, let's get this flight off the ground. A UK sovereign government has made a deal with another sovereign government, Rwanda. They've agreed to what the situation should be. So let's get those flights off the ground and let's deal with the legal afterwards.
I still don't understand, though, why Rishi Sunak called the election early then. If those flights were booked for the end of July and he genuinely believed those flights were going to take off at the end of July, why call the election for the first week of July? Why not allow it
differently if he had run the scheme?
I think he should have done. But I think, he was under a lot of pressure as well. I think he was sort of getting too much into the weeds of detail of too much. We're coming up with policies like scrapping HS2 and, incremental increases in the smoking age and all the rest of it, things that weren't actually topics that I think British public were really talking about over the breakfast table. So I think those flights should have taken place. I think that would have done a lot of good for dealing with this crisis.
Lots of people responding to you, Charlie. Bobby and Keith making the same point, saying how many of those people who are being deported in this one-in, one-out scheme would just try and come back again on a small boat? It wouldn't stop them, would it, from trying again?
Potentially not, especially if they're not going to be stopped on a small boat coming from France again. Now, the government has said that if you try again, obviously, then you won't have a case. But how will you know? Because, people, as you said earlier on, throw their passports over the dinghies on their way here. People turn up and claim that they're a particular age when they've got beards longer than mine, and a receding hairline. The people aren't who they say they are. We've been too much of a soft touch. There's been no deterrent. There's too much of a pull factor. And that's why I think...
Charlie, I can honestly say to you, this is not going down well. There's no sort of belief in this today, judging by your comments coming in, viewers and listeners. Paula says, what on earth do other countries think about us? This government seems like a bunch of amateurs trying anything in desperation. And there is a sort of desperation thing about this, isn't there? And it's a suck-up to Macron as well. It's sort of saying, look, yes, we'll do what you tell us to do and hope you'll be happy with this. This is no use to Britain as a country, the figures involved here.
Exactly. And, it's gone beyond any government telling the British public what it's going to do or how tough it's going to be. It needs to show to the British public what it's doing to get tough. And so far, we've seen those numbers increase It's up 50% this time.
But Charlie, also you had these protests at the weekend about the hotel accommodations and the benefits that you were talking about earlier. That isn't going to go away.
No.
And so what is going to happen?
There needs to be, you hope that that it's not going to escalate further than just peaceful protests. And these are protesters, these are peaceful protesters, these are communities, these are women, these are children, these are girls, these are communities that are coming together to say, look, actually, we don't feel safe in our community because of the stories that we've heard of migrants that have come into the country that have been charged with serious crimes, some sexual offences, where we can't seem to be able to deport people who shouldn't even be in the country because of fear of chicken nuggets in their home country, or because they're entitled under the EHCR, entitled to a family life or entitled to a right to remain in the UK. That is all bunkum. When we've got about 10,000 people, foreign nationals, in our prisons, taking up prison places, that doesn't go down well with the public. And as you say, talking about France, there's another story today where I think it's Canada, Australia, France and Mexico in certain sites have increased their threat level of the UK. They're telling tourists who want to come to the UK that it's not safe to do so because of crime, particularly in London, which you can't fault them for doing that. But the idea that we've got this, as you say, Eamonn, this great deal with France and there's great cooperation, and all of a sudden France are now saying to French folk, oh, don't come to the UK because it's a hotbed of crime. It's beggars belief today. And that's why I think there are so many protests, not of people from the far right, genuine people that are now fed up with the situation in the UK, where they're working hard, they're getting up every morning, they're paying their taxes. And where is it going? It's going on to, it seems to me, people that shouldn't be in the country in the first place and not going on public services. And what are we going to see in the autumn? I'm sad to say, after this summer, more tax rises. So that won't go down with the British public either. There does seem to be this feeling across the country that Britain isn't working. This Labour government, a year in, hasn't got a grip on the key issues, and the public incredibly dissatisfied, and that'll only continue.
Okay.
Depressing situation. Charlie Riley, thank you for your perspective. Thank you very much indeed.
Steve's been in touch saying the one in, one out scheme is a big con. We end up with the same number we had before. We send one back to France. 50 less a week, yes, but the boats keep coming. It's just a huge con. Is it any wonder people in this country are so angry?
You were saying earlier, Ellie, when we talk about numbers, in the eyes of the great British public out there, it's not about numbers. They don't want anybody.
Yeah. Well, they don't want to see like for like, do they? They want to see numbers coming down.
And we don't think as a country we can afford to take in these people, and you only have to look at other items in the news like this one about prisons. An independent review by the former Chief Inspector of Prisons, that's Dame Anne Owens, found that the prison system was within days of collapse last year.
Well, the reports found that there was a systemic problem with the cost of building new prisons and nearly doubling to £10.1 billion.
Well, former Chief Inspector of Prisons Nick Hardwick joins us now to give us his take on this. So this sounds, Nick, this sounds really a serious situation that we got into last year.
Yeah, I don't think the report is telling us very much new. If you remember, we had last year the kind of crisis in prisons where they simply ran out of space, so lots of prisoners were released early. But to be frank, we saw this coming well in advance. I was teaching university, I was lecturing my students and saying in a couple of years' time the system is going to run out of space. You just do the basic arithmetic and you could see it was going to happen, and indeed it did.
But Nick, OK, so you're basically saying a blind man on a galloping horse could have seen this. But how come you've got that Conservative administration which didn't take this into account? And indeed, any administration, because when we talk about spending, it's OK to spend it on migrants, the budget, but not on prisons, not on police. Why don't politicians get it through their head that people do not object to money being spent on things like prisons?
Well, I think, if you want to ask why don't politicians do things, well, you have to ask a politician that. I'm not a politician. But I think one of the problems here is that prisons need long-term planning, right? So if you give somebody a 10-year sentence today, you've got to be thinking about, is there going to be room for them in 10 years' time?
Yeah.
You need long-term planning, and I think what successive governments of all the parties did is they just dealt with short-term issues. So they didn't do the prison building and recruitment of prison staff, so that as the population grew, they had the capacity to deal with it. So this is a point Dame has made. It was a failure of longer-term planning, people doing short-term things that seemed easy, rather than longer-term things that were difficult, but that needed to be done to fix the problem.
Do we need to look as well at being able to work effectively and safely inside prisons as well? Because we have seen an increased number, haven't we, of attacks on prison officers as well.
It's unacceptable what's happening to prison staff. I think they're, as a public servants, I think they're unappreciated, and the levels of violence against prison staff is just unacceptable. The government are introducing some things like tasers and pepper sprays and that kind of stuff. But I think the key thing is that you have enough experienced staff to manage the population they're holding safely. In the end, I've been in a lot of prisons. Most prisoners want a quiet life. They just want to get on with their sentence, get through it, make their telephone calls, all of that kind of stuff. If people are kicking off, then that makes life difficult for everyone in a prison, not just prison staff. So most prisoners want stable prisons. But when the system breaks down, when you don't have enough experienced staff to run it, everybody nobody cares about what's happening, and that's when levels of violence rise. So you need to deal with very violent prisoners, and you need to give prison officers the tools they need to do that. But the main thing is to try and get prisons back onto a kind of stable, sensible footing with experienced staff running them.
But Nick, what would we do? We've talked about the bricks and mortar situation and the need to plan for that in advance. And I think the same has to be said of staff. How do you get people to want to work in prisons and stay there?
Well, I mean, we've been able to do that in the past. I mean, so we have had. It's a good job in lots of ways. It doesn't pays pretty well, actually. It's not badly paid. And I think, so I talk to a lot of prison staff, and I think what they feel is that when they can do their job properly, for some people, they're turning round the lives of the people that they're holding. I think they get a lot of job satisfaction from that. In the past, it's been seen as a good job, pays well often in areas where there isn't a lot of other employment, and people feel they're doing something really worthwhile. And we need to get back to that state. I don't think it's always an impossible job. In the past, it's been a good job for people.
Well, thank you for the job that you did. Thanks for talking to us today, Nick. Really appreciate it. Nick Hardwick is a former Chief Inspector of Prisons.
Now, at 19 minutes past 7, let's take a look at some other stories coming into the newsroom this morning.
And a 42-year-old man understood to be activist Tommy Robinson has been arrested at Luton Airport. This is in connection with an alleged assault at St Pancras Station. It comes after footage emerged appearing to show Robinson walking away from the scene. British Transport Police say the man had flown in from Faro in Portugal after leaving the country for Tenerife following the incident in July. He was arrested shortly after 6:30 last night on suspicion of grievous bodily harm.
TV host and repair shop star Jay Blades has been charged with 2 counts of rape. Police say the 55-year-old father of 3 from Shropshire is due in court next week. West Mersey Police confirm the charges relate to alleged offences that will be heard at Telford Magistrates Court on the 13th of August.
Dame Stella Remington, the trailblazing housewife super spy, has died at the age of 90. She made history as the first woman to lead MI5 and inspired Dame Judi Dench's iconic portrayal of M in the James Bond films. Her family say she was surrounded by loved ones and her dogs, holding on to life until the very last breath.
Now let's get a check on the weather with Alex Burkle.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, very good morning to you. I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, Storm Floris is clearing away and we are going to see the strongest winds really easing out as well. But there are plenty of showers to watch out for, piling in on those brisk, blustery north-northwesterly winds. So further heavy showers across Scotland, Northern Ireland, feeding into parts of northern England and perhaps North Wales as well. In between the showers, there will be some sunny spells, but it's across southern areas where the sunshine is going to be pretty prolonged. And in that sunshine, temperatures, well, not quite as high as they have been through some recent days, but nonetheless getting into the low, possibly mid-20s. A few degrees fresher than this further north and feeling it because of those blustery winds. Like I said, those winds are easing and so they're going to continue to drop out as we go through this evening, and the showers are going to start to ease and clear away from the west as well. That being said, there will still be a scattering of showers across many parts of Scotland as we go through the end of the day. Turning dry though across Northern Ireland, a few showers for parts of northern England, but much of Wales, central southern England, it is looking fine to end the day with some late sunshine around as well. Overnight, all those showers are going to die out and clear away, but there is going to be a spell of more cloud and a bit of rain affecting the far north of Scotland. Elsewhere, though, largely dry and with a ridge of high pressure building, that's going to calm things down. With clear skies and lighter winds, perfect ingredients for temperatures to take a bit of a drop. Yes, towns and cities will hold up in double figures, but in more rural spots, it is going to turn pretty cool, could drop to mid-single figures in a few places. A bit of a cloudy start tomorrow morning across the far north of Scotland, but the cloud and the rain here is going to clear away, and then for many it's fine and sunny for a large chunk of the day before a bit more cloud pushes in from the west later on, and we are going to see some further wet weather arriving in the far west later. That's going to spread across most parts on Thursday. Temperatures for many tomorrow up a couple of degrees on today. Bye-bye.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Now here's your chance to live mortgage or rent-free for a whole year and get a bonus £5,000 in your bank account. It's the latest Great British giveaway, and guess what?
What?
Even if you don't have a mortgage or any rent to pay, you can still enter and you can still win £15,000.
Wiser, wiser, have
There's
a go.
something for everyone.
This is your chance to live mortgage or rent-free for an entire year in the latest Great British giveaway. That's right, we'll give you a cash lump sum that will cover 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, up to an incredible £20,000. Plus, we'll add £5,000 on top of that for you to treat yourself. And if you don't have a mortgage or rent to pay, lucky you, we'll give you £15,000 in cash instead. You have to hurry though, as lines will close on the 29th of August. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Now, do stay with us. Still to come, just 1 in 7 of England's primary school teachers are men. So we're asking this morning, do boys need more male role models in school? We're going to be debating that next.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record. You say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here We do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
It's quite shocking, actually. More than a million children of primary school age go to school with no male teachers. No male teachers at all. So what effect will that have for them? Conor Tomlinson is a political commentator. He joins us from London. And Lisa McKenna is an author and lecturer who's in Nottingham. Conor, the male deficit, not having the male influence, does it worry you?
Definitely, because young boys need to test boundaries to sort of find their place in the hierarchy, and men are naturally inclined towards hierarchy. It gives us a sense of purpose and of belonging, and it sort of harnesses our strength as we grow up into something productive and civilizationally beneficial. And without a man to sort of correct young boys when they get a bit too rambunctious, what ends up happening is they seek hierarchy in other avenues, whether it be malicious influencers or the sort of drill rap and drug gangs that we can see in London. And this is particularly pronounced because at the moment we're going through an epidemic of early childhood to teen fatherlessness. It's up to about 50% of kids in the country reach age 14 without living with their dad, and that has led to all sorts of terrible outcomes like cycle of single motherhood, poverty, crime, drug addiction, you name it, by the CDC Kaiser study.
To the point, Conor, would we need something like positive discrimination to balance out the teaching ratio?
No, I think actually what would be better is, much like in the early 20th century, if you encourage men to go out of the army and into teaching, that would probably be quite good. You'd have to pay teachers a bit more, and you'd also have to break up the sort of very anti-male, pathological teachers' unions that are more interested in politics than they are in representing young boys, I think.
Lisa McKenzie, let's bring you in. Do boys need male role models? And is it beneficial, do you think, for them to have a male teacher in primary school?
I mean, I think it's beneficial, but I don't think, I'm not going to go down that sort of reactionary alarmist that we've just heard, that, you know, little boys between the age of, we're not talking about being 5 and 7, we're talking primary school. If they don't have a male teacher, they could end up in drug and crime gangs. I think that's really alarmist because, you know, if we're all being honest...
Yeah, but it's true. It's probably true.
It's not true. You can't say that.
What are you
because
laughing for? If I said to you that the same situation in schools existed and there were no women, and there's no women influence, you'd be highly alarmed at that.
No, Eamonn, when you were a child, how many male primary teachers were there when you were a child?
Well, Lisa, you're going to be surprised. There would have been 3/4 would have been male in the primary school that I went to.
Well, you know, when I was a child, traditionally, primary school teachers have appealed more to women. I mean, this is not a new story. This is actually how, I suppose, the cycle of teaching goes. I'm not saying that it's not good to have male teachers, but I think at primary school level, I'm not sure it's absolutely crucial. There are, you know, if you... Are we saying that...
Lisa, I think it's a big thing. I honestly do. I think if you haven't got somebody, you know, leading you in sport or giving you that male perspective in certain things, I think it's just something you can't really just dismiss and say it doesn't have any effect.
I'm not dismissing it. What I'm saying is primary school teachers are traditionally mostly women. That doesn't mean that little boys don't get male role models in other places. They've got dads, they've got uncles. If they go to sports clubs outside of the school, there will be men there. I'm saying it's not absolutely the end of days if you don't have a primary school teacher who is a man.
Connor, what do you make of what Lisa's saying?
I'm afraid you can just throw mud and call it reactionary all you like. I don't take that as an insult, actually. But when 50% of children growing up don't have their dad around, and this does start in early years, you know, there's higher rates of cohabitation, but lower rates of marriage, higher rates of family separation. And those kids who don't have a dad around and then also don't have a male teacher don't actually have a male role model. That's the point. They will end up, as lots of studies will show, across countries, across different cultures, they will end up in crime, often in gangs, and often perpetuating the cycle of poverty and single motherhood. So and also this has great disparities along ethnic lines, by the way. I know yourself are on the left, so you do care about inequality. Larger proportions of ethnic minority, particularly Black Caribbean boys, don't have a dad in the home. I think it's about 75% now, which is a really alarming crisis if you want to talk about being alarmist.
That's a different argument to school teachers.
It's not a different argument. It's saying if they don't have a dad in the home and then they also don't have a male teacher, what male representation do they have to give them a productive and constructive path to be a man in life? What you're doing is just saying it's not an issue. Let's not bother with it and let the problem continue.
I'm saying it's not an issue between 5 and 7 in primary schools. I'm not saying it's not an issue for other parts of your life. And also, I mean, I am a sociologist, and, you know, I'm not sure what studies that you can refer to, but I don't know that there's any studies out there that says if a little boy doesn't have a male primary school teacher, they're more likely to end up in crime. I don't think there's any, that's not a study that I know.
The CDC Kaiser study,
right.
It's the largest study of American adolescents. It followed them for multiple decades from when they were children, measuring their adverse childhood experience scores, and right up through until they're adults.
And this is just about primary school teachers, is it?
No, it's about the lack of fathers in the home, and then if you go into school and you do not have a male role model, that exacerbation of parental separation is worsened by education.
Guys, thanks for putting it out there. Thanks for getting people talking and thinking about it. Really appreciate it, Lisa and Connor. Thank you very much indeed. We'll leave it there and then we'll ask people for their views and opinions on what you've had to say.
Yeah, lots of you getting in touch already. John saying, I was more than delighted when a grandson decided he wanted to become a teacher at primary level because I think the influence of a male teacher at his school is really, really important.
Paul with the sport right after this.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Severe weather has closed the A9 Kessock Bridge to high-sided vehicles due to high winds. Drivers should exercise caution. Maintenance on the M4 eastbound at junction 24 Coldra has closed slip roads with diversions in place. A road collision on the M4 eastbound between junctions 13 and 12 in West Berkshire has closed 2 of 3 lanes. Motorists on the M1 southbound between junctions 31 and 30 in Rotherham should be aware of a broken down vehicle blocking 1 lane. And on the trains, disruption persists between Plymouth and Gunnislake on Great Western Railway, impacting Elna services today. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record, you say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
What are you laughing at? Serious sport.
The Rock Skipping Championship.
Yes.
And the World Tag Championship.
It's a quiet sport day.
Crazy competitive sports day.
Okay.
Is what we're doing here.
This, in America, they have different sports channels and they get more and more sports channels. Probably going to go this way here. And what they have to do is fill the time by putting different sports in. So there are different world championships, and I thought we would highlight some of these world championships because, quite frankly, I'm looking for a sport to play. So these are serious sporting championships. So we can have a look at. Now, you used to play, what did you call tag when you were at school? It?
It.
You know, when you'd go, you're...
Never played it.
Oh, you did?
Didn't.
What did you play at school? Dodge the Dragon? When you were in the playground?
We used to fight and hit each other. But no tag, no, don't.
We played it.
Yeah, and you're it, and then someone will chase you.
Chases.
That's it.
Okay.
Kiss Chase, that old classic. That quite handy.
That used to really scare me.
I'm not surprised. And it is, unfortunately, that's not in the sports these days, or fortunately. Let's have a look at this. World Chase Tag Championships. So there we are. Now, watch these. It's basically playing it.
Oh, my word.
They have parkour, you know, where they do all the running and jumping stuff. But there are rules.
I'm getting dizzy just looking at it. 2
teams of up to 6 players, 12 by 12 metre square, which is called the quad, and they have 20 seconds to tag the evader. I don't know where they go, you're it, as they do it. And if you manage to evade the person who's chasing after you, you get 1 point for your team. It's just running after someone. That's it. That's the sport.
Right, I get that, yeah. It's just made-up stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah. It's playing it, but doing lots of running and jumping and all that sort of stuff.
It's a lot to think about in your mind, that.
It is, yeah. It's just like a general office there.
It's fascinating you talking about there's going to be more and more sports channels or sports-type channels available. When you think that we used to have on a Saturday afternoon, 5 or 6 hours of Grandstand or World of Sport.
And they used to have to fill that sometimes.
And they got rid of all that because there was no demand for watching show jumping from badminton or whatever it was in the afternoon. There weren't big enough numbers for it. But it's funny what people term or classify. So it's not traditional sport they're going for.
Exactly. How about this? The World Sign Spinning Championship.
Got me there, mate.
Well, basically, they explain it as an unstoppable force of raw talent and energy from the world's best urban street corner athletes. They spin a sign. Have a look at this. See what you think of this one. The World Sign Spinning Championships. Can we see that? There we are. Now, it's a sign, and what you do is jump around with a sign.
Oh,
that's it.
So silly.
That's
it's literally a road sign or a sign from a shop. Yeah.
And the thing is, I was looking at their website, and you can advertise on one of the signs. So all they do is break dance and jump around, but they have to hold a sign while they're doing it.
Wow, that looks...
What do we think about that one?
I don't think it's going to catch on.
No?
Also, it looks quite hard. They're spinning it like it's really light. I can imagine it's not.
Yeah.
It looks really dull.
I imagine you've seen one or two people spinning their sign. I think the sign would probably say, I've had enough now.
Yeah.
One more for you, the Rock River Stone Skimming Championships. Now, if you've all... Now, don't tell me you've never tried skimming a stone, Eamonn.
Yeah.
And then there are world champs down. Look at how many times.
Well, respect for that.
Look at this.
Respect, that's amazing.
That is... Can we have a look at that?
I like this one. This could catch on. So how many was that? I'd say 20, 30?
It's gotta be
It's still going.
Yeah.
The tips are flat, round-edged stone, and you have to throw it at around 20 degrees is the optimum degree. Good spin to stabilise the stone. Forward speed, spin, it's easy for me to say, and angle determine how many times it bounces. So we're talking professionals there. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 5. It goes on forever.
I mean, obviously I've done that, but if I ever got more than 3 skips out of it, it would be something.
No, I've never. I've probably got
9.
2 at the most. Or hit someone.
I think that's got a battery in it or something.
I think so. I think that's fine.
No, that's impressive. I like that one.
Paul, thank you very much indeed. Just how our lives are enlightened.
Do you feel as if you're enriched in a sporting way?
I do feel enriched.
Well, that reminded me of the great outdoors, this skimming business there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's impressive, that
that's
one.
Good. Okay.
Thanks, Coity.
Newspapers next. David Wooding, Esther Kraku, and they're coming up talking about what's keeping them occupied, the papers today, after we show you the holiday sun.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Around eastern parts of the Mediterranean, we have some showery rain, which could be a little bit heavy at times. It's a drier picture further west, albeit some showery rain not too far from Madeira at the moment. Worth bearing in mind, temperatures across parts of Portugal and Spain, they're rising. We're going to get some heatwave conditions through the next couple of days, with temperatures peaking in the low 40s. But like I said, across parts of Greece into Turkey, here we do have some showery rain. Otherwise, the outlook is for things to be largely dry and sunny.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
Rafe, I'm assuming the notion of dropping Winnie to replace him with a tranny fills you full of repulsion.
Yes, I personally, as a Churchill historian, would love Churchill to be on the notes permanently. But yes, this is just part of this continuing war on our history that we often discuss on this channel. It's a long war, and it's just basically another attempt to gradually, or not so gradually actually, erase or rewrite our history. And the imagery on banknotes, on our passports, and the coins and stamps and all those sorts of things, they've traditionally always served to inspire pride in the nation. And those are really powerful symbols of our sovereignty and our identity. And it speaks a lot to, of course, to the changing fads and this desire we now see by our institutions, including the Bank of England, to create a new British identity, which is completely severed from the past.
I wonder, Rafe, we've had this conversation before. I wonder if a lot of this now is starting to feel a bit deliberate. Like, they know that Winston Churchill is worshipped and adored as one of the greatest ever Brits. They know we cherish the Union flag. They know we cherish our national anthems. Is that specifically why you think they're targeted?
That's precisely why it's being targeted. It's just that's what this is all about. You know, the Bank of England is just part of this long march through the institution. The Bank of England, remember, in its new Bank of England Museum, well, it has a permanent exhibition on slavery. And we need to understand that the elites who control our institutions bear no comparison to the generations that occupied those institutions. They're cuckoos in the nest. They're embarrassed by Britain's history and its historical figures. And what these people used to understand love of nation, and they've replaced that with national self-loathing.
GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Welcome back to Breakfast. We're going through the papers in the company of former editor of the Sunday Express, David Wooding, and the journalist Esther Kraku. Morning, you two.
Could I just, before we get into the papers, just a reaction to the lack of male teachers, particularly primary school teachers. And a lot of people are concerned about this. Mandy says a child needs male and female role models. My mum was a single mum. I had no father figure worth mentioning. I turned out just fine. I myself was a single dad. Again, my boys turned out brilliantly. It's how you raise the kids. Single parents can manage just fine. Charles says, I'm 78. When I was at primary school, we had about half and half men to women teachers. Our head was a male as well. And boys need good role models. Full stop, says Megan.
Yeah, keep those views coming in on that one.
Do you remember having male role models at school?
Yes, I do, in primary school, but I went to primary school in Ghana, so it's a bit different. But I think what I find interesting is people citing their own experiences, saying, you know, I was raised by a single parent and I was fine. I think transposing that on a national level, on a conversation that involves millions of people is quite different, because statistically results show different results for kids that are raised in single-parent homes versus two-parent homes. And we are at a point where record numbers of children are growing up in single-parent households. So it's, I think, not accurate to completely separate the two.
David?
Yeah, I went to a very good school. It was approved. I think that the main thing is you need inspirational teachers.
Yeah.
And an inspirational teacher is worth his or her weight in gold, whatever sex they are. And those who can get you to be fascinated by the subject you're studying.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about, really. You can stand there giving pupils notes or dictating, or be a strong disciplinarian. You do need to have discipline and order in the classroom. But really, a teacher who can inspire and light the fire of enthusiasm for any subject is worth their weight in gold.
Yeah, good answer. David, let's stay with you, shall we, and look at the Daily Mail this morning. This is Lord Kinnock calling for a VAT raid on private healthcare.
Yeah, well, in the last hour, we were talking about how people were trying to dodge the VAT on school fees, because that is having a bigger impact on people who are paying for their youngsters to go to private education. And of course, it's having an impact reverse of what's required, because they're now being moved into the state system. Well, Neil Kinnock is calling on the Labour government to put VAT next on private healthcare. Now, 1 in 8 people have private medical insurance, and many, many more dig into their savings to pay for a procedure because they can't get it done on the NHS because of backlogs in treatment.
Yeah.
This would raise, according to estimates, only £2 billion for the NHS. And we know how the NHS can be a black hole for money when it's thrown in there. So it probably wouldn't have much of an impact. And there's possibly a reverse argument that you should, in fact, give tax relief to people who go for private medical insurance, because they're relieving the NHS, which is in full stretch anyway, of the need to treat them.
I'd just like to say to politicians out there, is there any other way of raising money bar taxing people? Because that is the only imagination they have.
Well, yeah.
Tax, 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 and I think people are at an absolute breaking point.
Well, I don't think they can cut public services anymore and expect to still be in a job. But, you know, the Spanish give tax relief on private school fees because they're saying, you know, you're relieving the public state sector of pressure. And I think the same argument makes sense for private healthcare. I think this is quite indicative of the philosophical bend of the Labour Party and really successive governments since for the last 30 years, which is let's find ways to raid people's pockets as opposed to actually growing the economy. Nothing has been said about the fact that economic growth has basically flatlined since 2008 and has never really recovered. It's all how can we squeeze more money out of people? And like you said, the NHS is a black hole for spending. 2 billion is a laughable figure, if that. I mean, that's if everything goes right. But the impact on private healthcare would be significant because we actually don't have a very large private healthcare industry anyway. I mean, they should be looking for ways to expand it as opposed to finding ways to constrain or that, you know, for people to disincentivize people to use it. Years ago, Tony Blair talked about paying for GP appointments, I think a £70 fee, and then finding people that miss GP appointments to try and incentivize people not only to be more proactive with their own healthcare, but also to not miss appointments that are now so scarce. So I don't think this will go down very well, and I think Rachel Reeves will probably try and find other ways to stealthily raise taxes.
I know people who've worked in the office where I've worked who've had a cold or an infection of some kind and have paid to go and see a GP rather than wait to get one on the NHS. I think this is just the politics of envy, and that's how it'll be dismissed. And Neil Kinnock, of course, can probably afford healthcare himself with the big fat cat pension he's got from the EU where he served as a commissioner.
Esther, here's a story the Express are running, and they're running this on their front page this morning, and the headline is British state is failing to protect women and girls. In what respect?
So the Daily Express put in a Freedom of Information request to the CPS to ask how many asylum seekers that they know that were being charged with or suspected of committing sexual crimes. So this was quite specific, sexual crimes. And they said they don't know, they don't keep track. They also don't ask asylum seekers to give DNA samples, which they do for all other nationalities that are suspected of these types of crimes. And it just shows how behind the state is really to tackle the issue of foreign offenders, which now make up, I think, almost 40% of all sexual offenders here in this country. I mean, the Freedom of Information requests that were put in to actually give the public information about which nationalities are more likely to commit those types of crimes was a huge battle we know went on for months because the Home Office was reluctant to release that information. And I think, you know, the argument against this is you don't want to paint asylum seekers or all foreign nationals as sex offenders or that the British nationals commit sex crimes as well. But I think that's an argument to actually release this sort of information because you don't want to increase the problem of sex offences in this country by importing more of them. And the public are rightly concerned about seeing predominantly working-age males from parts of the world that are rife with war and not having the best attitudes towards women just being plonked into their communities. OK,
thank you very much indeed. David Wood and Esther Krakow will be back in about 45 minutes' time with more views. Register yours, have your say.
Here's the weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, very good morning to you. I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, Storm Floris is clearing away and we are going to see the strongest winds really easing out as well. But there are plenty of showers to watch out for, piling in on those brisk, blustery north-northwesterly winds. So further heavy showers across Scotland, Northern Ireland, feeding into parts of northern England and perhaps North Wales as well. In between the showers, there will be some sunny spells, but it's across southern areas where the sunshine is going to be pretty prolonged. And in that sunshine, temperatures, well, not quite as high as they have been through some recent days, but nonetheless getting into the low, possibly mid-20s. A few degrees fresher than this further north and feeling it because of those blustery winds. Like I said, those winds are easing and so they're going to continue to drop out as we go through this evening, and the showers are going to start to ease and clear away from the west as well. That being said, there will still be a scattering of showers across many parts of Scotland as we go through the end of the day. Turning dry though across Northern Ireland, a few showers for parts of northern England, England, but much of Wales, central southern England, it is looking fine to end the day with some late sunshine around as well. Overnight, all those showers are going to die out and clear away, but there is going to be a spell of more cloud and a bit of rain affecting the far north of Scotland. Elsewhere, though, largely dry and with a ridge of high pressure building, that's going to calm things down. With clear skies and lighter winds, perfect ingredients for temperatures to take a bit of a drop. Yes, towns and cities will hold up in double figures, but in more rural spots, it is going to turn pretty cool, could drop to mid-single figures in a few places. A bit of a cloudy start tomorrow morning across the far north of Scotland, but the cloud and the rain here is going to clear away, and then for many it's fine and sunny for a large chunk of the day before a bit more cloud pushes in from the west later on, and we are going to see some further wet weather arriving in the far west later. That's going to spread across most parts on Thursday. Temperatures for many tomorrow up a couple of degrees on today. Bye-bye.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. High winds are causing disruptions on the A9 Kessock Bridge, which remains closed to high-sided vehicles. There are planned maintenance works on the M4 eastbound at junction 24 Coldra, with both the exit and entry slip roads closed and diversions in place. In West Berkshire, the M4 eastbound between junction 13 and junction 12 is facing significant delays due to a road traffic collision. 2 of 3 lanes are currently shut. And on the trains, anticipate delays on the Great Western Railway between Plymouth and Gunnislake, and Greater Anglia services between Cheshunt and Hertford East and Stansted Airport. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Let us take on some of your financial stresses and pay your mortgage or rent for the next 12 months. We want to give you a cash lump sum equivalent to 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, up to an unbelievable £20,000. We'll also boost that by a further £5,000, so you really could have some fun in the coming year. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Hello there. The one-in, one-out migrant return deal will begin today.
The government has announced that potential detentions are set to begin by the end of the week.
However, critics have hit out with reports that only 50 people a week will actually be returned to France.
So, is this yet another gimmick scheme that will struggle to stay afloat?
Britain's prison system came within days of collapse on a number of occasions between autumn 23 and summer 24. A damning new report sheds light on the capacity crisis and urgent staffing issues.
Rail disruption is set to continue after Storm Floris, which battered Britain with 90-mile-per-hour winds yesterday, causing train cancellations and mass power cuts.
Students across Scotland find out their exam results today. We'll be live with those young people as they find out their futures.
And sport this morning were one of the greatest test series of all time. It took 57 minutes to end yesterday morning as England were bowled out by India, just 6 runs away from winning. Could Newcastle's money help Liverpool buy Alexander Isak from themselves? And Emma Raducanu, guess what? She's got a new coach.
After a stormy day yesterday, it's much calmer today, albeit with some blustery winds and fairly frequent showers across northern parts. Stick around for the details.
It's just gone 8 o'clock. I'm Ellie Costello.
I'm Eamonn Holmes. Welcome to GB News Breakfast.
Let's get straight into politics, shall we? And we'll speak to the Conservative Party this morning. Shadow Business and Trade Secretary Andrew Griffith joins us now. Good morning to you, Mr. Griffith.
Good morning, Ellie.
Morning. Can I start by asking you about this one-in, one-out migrant return deal which starts today? What's your response to that? Are you hopeful that it will work?
Well, one in, one out would be great, but that's very, very far from the truth. This is something like 1 in, 17 in, 1 possibly out. And at that level, I think it's unlikely to have the incentive effect that even the Home Secretary, who's presided over the biggest growth in arrivals since the Norman Conquest, has ever contemplated. But let's just unpack a tiny bit. Nobody should be coming here on a small boat from France. France is a safe country. It is a permanent 5 member of the United Nations. Along with the United Kingdom, it gave human rights to the world. No one should be in fear of death or prosecution in France. They may have some interesting menu choices sometimes, but there's no reason for people to leave France and come to the United Kingdom. And that insight is somehow lost on this government. It's lost on the criminal justice system. It's lost on the immigration tribunals. But people who come to this country illegally should all be returned, not some sort of lottery ticket where 90 or 90% of those who arrive somehow get to stay, and the Home Secretary thinks that is in any way acceptable.
Well, Andrew, what do you think is acceptable? Do you think anybody arriving is acceptable?
Not illegally and not via the small boats people smuggler ecosystem. And just look, if each one of those boats was carrying a small French artwork from their wonderful museums, do we not think that the French gendarmes would do a better job of puncturing their dinghies? In fact, the only dinghy we've ever seen punctured was in a photo shoot the day before President Macron came to meet our Prime Minister. So no illegal arrivals, full deportation of those who have committed offences and are blocking up spaces in British jails such that 16,000 criminals under this government have been released because they haven't got the capacity because of foreign national offenders. And then you can look at all of the other ways by which people come here and decide what is the right level of immigration. But, you know, remember, your viewers can't get a GP appointment. Your viewers' children can't get on the housing ladder. The 9 million people of working age adults in this United Kingdom sitting on benefits, and then immigrants coming to do those jobs.
Look, we get all
so
that.
the whole system is broken, Eamonn.
Okay, so
what
about Keir Starmer? What is Keir
that.
Starmer's game then? Is this his way of sucking up to Europe again? Why on earth would he be doing it if there's no tangible benefit in all of this? Why is he doing it?
Oh, I think Keir Starmer is doing this because we and other parties are breathing down the necks of Labour MPs. This is the most unpopular government in history. One reason why is it's clear that far from saying he had a plan to smash the gangs, he had no plan at all to deal with illegal immigration, just as Rachel Reeves had no plan to grow the economy. She thought she would just rock up and not be the Conservatives, and somehow everything would be magical. And ever since since. We've seen unemployment rise, the level of growth fall, and she's gone on a complete borrowing spree that is really risking the United Kingdom's debt rating and ability to continue to service our debts as they fall due. So they just, as a government, they didn't have a plan. And whilst 17 in, 1 out, maybe some sort of plan, it's not an adequate plan for the sort of challenge that we're seeing daily on our streets now.
Can I ask you about the prison system? Because there's a damning new report out today which sheds a light on the capacity crisis and other issues as well at the heart of all of this. It reports that Britain's prison system came within days of collapse on a number of occasions between autumn of 2023 and summer of 2024. So that was under your watch as the Conservatives. The Justice Secretary, Ms Mahmood, has said that it lays bare the disgraceful way in which the Conservative government ran our prisons. What's your response to that?
No, look, this is. I mean, let's not take this seriously. This is a bit of a political hit job from a Justice Secretary who has released 16,000 convicted, jailed offenders back out onto British streets to re-offend. Of course, she's trying to do everything to give herself head cover. Of course, the criminal justice
Early
system,
release was happening
the
under
jails
Rishi Sunak as well.
for decades. No, look, of course, for decades, our jails have been full. Full jails isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's showing that we increased the number, the length of offences, so we had tougher sentences, and we were convicting more people. What is wrong is the number of places that are taken up by foreign national offenders, where the government refuses to use every lever within their power, whether that's trade or aid or access to visas, to make countries take back their foreign national offenders and free up those 10,000 jail places. And what is wrong is that Justice Secretary has released 16,000 criminals in the first year of a Labour government alone. No wonder our streets are not safe.
We're almost out of time with you, but you're here to talk to us today with a warning about what you say are Labour's plans with new investment taxes.
Look, this is a really worrying time for people. We've got another sequel where we've got a long, hot summer of uncertainty followed by a Labour tax grab budget in the autumn. And the worry is that this time, in her sights, because Angela Rayner, who's the Deputy Prime Minister, is pulling so many of the strings, are the nation's savers and investors. And that not only hurts those who'd be brought into paying more tax, doing things like removing the dividend tax allowance or changing the status of AIM shares, but it also undermines investment in the economy. Last week or a week or two ago, the Chancellor was at the Mansion House dinner in the City talking about how we can get more investment for British firms, reverse a trend that's been going on for a very significant amount of time, seeing companies leave the London listing market and go overseas and seek their fortune, young people leaving this country. The very last thing we need is an attack on the very people who invest in British companies. And they could rule this out this afternoon. You know, chancellors do rule out certain classes of tax. This government has already done exactly that on a number of other taxes ahead of the budget. So rather than the long summer of uncertainty, damaging investment, damaging confidence, the chancellor should be ruling out a tax grab raid on Britain's savings, pensions and investment.
Andrew Griffith, appreciate your time this morning. Andrew is the Shadow Business and Trade Secretary and the Home Secretary. Yvette Cooper is speaking to most television stations this morning about the one in, one out situation, but she hasn't got time to talk to GB News. So we're saying we'll certainly make the time this end, Home Secretary, if you'll make the time for us. So there is an open invite there to give us your defence of why you think this will work when the majority of our viewers and listeners, the vast majority of our viewers and listeners think you're talking rubbish. 9 minutes, no, 10 minutes exactly past 8. A very good morning to you.
And our top story today is Sir Keir Starmer's one in, one out migrant deal with France, which starts today. The government says anyone crossing the Channel could face immediate detention and return within days.
Right, the EU have approved this pilot, and it lets the UK send people back to France if their claim is deemed inadmissible in exchange for asylum seekers with ties to Britain.
But just 50 returns a week are expected to start with. That's despite record crossings. The critics are warning it's too slow, too small, and offers no safe legal alternatives.
Let's get analysis now from our news political correspondent, Catherine Foster. Catherine, good morning to you. What difference do we expect? Can we hope that this new strategy will make from today?
Well, Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary, has said that it's groundbreaking. I'd just like to add to what you said, Eamonn. It's exceedingly disappointing that the Home Secretary hasn't found the time this morning of all mornings, given that this channel has led on this issue, that it enrages so many people, given that we are currently the #1 news channel. She's also found the time, apparently, to talk to some sort of new news outlets that I've never even heard of, but there you go. So, talking elsewhere this morning, she has talked about a groundbreaking principle. I think that's the worry, the word principle. What people need, what people want, what people demand is for the boats to be stopped. Now, a principle is one thing, but practice is another. So they're saying, you know, as of now, this deal is in force. If you come across illegally, you can be deported, can, not will. Yeah. And in exchange, we will take people who've gone through the proper routes, who have links with family, and so on and so forth. But first of all, it's only a pilot scheme. It lasts for a year. We don't know what will happen then. And second of all, it sounds like the numbers will be around 50 a week. Now, given that we've had 25,000 this year, and that's up 50% on last year, that seems, doesn't it, like a drop in the ocean. And the whole point is, you need something which is going to deter people from coming. Now, Rwanda, the Tories talk about it, how it would have worked. We'll never know because it had so many legal challenges. The Prime Minister then, Rishi Sunak, told me the flights were going to go in late July and they called an election and it never happened. So we will not know. But if there's officials within government are warning that basically you've got to be sending back sort of 80% of the people that arrive to break that model for people to realise. I mean, it's maths, isn't it? You do the maths. If there's sometimes hundreds of people, maybe 800 people arriving in a day, if only 50 of those are going to be sent back in any given week, the chances are, if you come, you're still going to get to stay. So, you know, the government are saying it's just one element, but they will hope that they would see a drop in the numbers quite soon. I mean, the detentions are going to start, we're told, in coming days, but people actually being returned could take several weeks. We shall see.
OK. Catherine, thank you very much. See you in the next hour.
30 minutes past 8 o'clock on this Tuesday morning. Good morning to you. Today is the day that thousands of young people across Scotland will find out exam results as we speak.
However, Storm Floris has caused a temporary delay with the postal service. The students will find out their grades for national higher and advanced higher courses. Well, there may be some delay.
OK, let's go to our man, Tony Maguire, this morning to elaborate more on those delays or what way the system is going. I would have thought they just fire things on computers by emails nowadays and they wouldn't really rely on the post, Tony.
Yeah, well, I think that's it, isn't it? In fact, I think you can get them by text message, you can get them in email, and of course there's a web portal, I believe, available to some people as well. But I think this is a lot down to that feeling, I'm sure we all remember it, when the exam results get posted through the door on that results day morning, and obviously the sort of opening in front of your family, etc. And I guess for a lot of people, the digital mechanisms for receiving your results are very much opt-in. done. So there's possible that some families haven't done that and therefore will be solely relying on those postal. But of course, because of Storm Floris yesterday, because of those persistent winds across the country, you know, the Outer Hebrides, Orkney, Shetland, the Royal Mail has warned all of those communities that there may be a delay on getting their results. But nevertheless, from today, this morning, 147,000 young people across Scotland are going to be opening their results. Now, we know from the SQA that there will be those delays, but in about an hour's time they're going to be holding a briefing and talking about the spread this year, you know, and all eyes are really going to be on the SQA, the Scottish Qualifications Authority, for how they handle this, because not only last year did we get all of those empty postal notes through and people were opening envelopes and just seeing blank pages there. But this is essentially going to be their swan song, because from later in the month, the SQA is going to be rebranded, if you like, and reworked into Qualifications Scotland, and that is just going to hopefully bring a lot of reforms, for a lot of streamlining for what we've seen in the last few years up here in Scotland. And yesterday, you know, I spent some time with Skills Development Scotland. Now, there's lots of call handlers there. This is a Scottish Government run operation, and they're running a helpline today that's going to be talking young people through the results. Not everybody's going to get those results that they'd hoped for, and they're on hand to really talk people through, you know, if they didn't get the university grades, is there other paths to that? Or in fact, you know, there's so many more ways now that you can turn your skills, all your transferable skills, into the career path of your choice.
I think it's difficult. I think the most calls that we get on the line are people who have applied to university, and I think when you've got that goal in mind and things haven't worked out the way that you've expected, it can be quite difficult in the moment to let go of that plan that you had.
Even if you feel that you don't know what tomorrow's going to hold, you have so much to offer, and our advisors are here to help you to explore what would be a good place for you to go on to next.
You've got people to support you along the way, and whatever your results, it doesn't mean it's the end of the road for whatever your kind of chosen career is. There's lots of different options, so just try not panic and pick up the phone and speak to one of our careers advisors, and we can support you along the way.
There you go. So if you're one of those 147 opening your results today, or if that is your child, then good luck to them.
What about you back in the day, Tony? Did you need good luck today, or was it fait accompli for you?
I knew you were going to ask that. I mean, I did okay. Obviously back in my day there was standard grades, so now it's Nat 2s, but you know, I got 1s across the board, and then in my hires, 4 A's and a B. B in biology, which when you're a son of 2 biology teachers, didn't go down too well.
4 A's and a B, and you were the daughter of 2 teachers as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember results day well.
Or a son.
Yeah, exactly. Tony, thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.
They'll be nervous today, won't they, from Scotland?
Well.
Good luck to anyone collecting their exam
The thing is, you never get on TV programmes, including on our own, you never get a pupil opening up and saying, let's see how I've done. Oh, I've failed everything. You never get that.
Well, I have seen that happen once. It's awkward, yeah. Has happened.
Well, that probably wasn't supposed to happen.
You're probably best to just have a little peek, check you've got all A's or something, and then go have a chat.
Post-Floris, what's happened there? What's the weather like today in Scotland and Ireland? Let's go to Alex Burkle.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, very good morning to you. I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, Storm Floris is clearing away and we are going to see the strongest winds really easing out as well. But there are plenty of showers to watch out for, piling in on those brisk, blustery north-northwesterly winds. So further heavy showers across Scotland, Northern Ireland, feeding into parts of Northern England and perhaps North Wales as well. In between the showers, there will be some sunny spells, but it's across southern areas where the sunshine's going to be pretty prolonged. And in that sunshine, temperatures temperatures, well, not quite as high as they have been through some recent days, but nonetheless getting into the low, possibly mid-20s. A few degrees fresher than this further north and feeling it because of those blustery winds. Like I said, those winds are easing, and so they're going to continue to drop out as we go through this evening, and the showers are going to start to ease and clear away from the west as well. That being said, there will still be a scattering of showers across many parts of Scotland as we go through the end of the day. Turning dry though across Northern Ireland. A few showers for parts of northern England, but much of Wales, central southern England, it is looking fine to end the day with some late sunshine around as well. Overnight, all those showers are going to die out and clear away, but there is going to be a spell of more cloud and a bit of rain affecting the far north of Scotland. Elsewhere, though, largely dry and with a ridge of high pressure building that's going to calm things down. With clear skies and lighter winds, perfect ingredients for temperatures to take a bit of a drop. Yes, towns and cities will hold up in double figures, but in more rural spots, it is going to turn pretty cool, could drop to mid-single figures in a few places. A bit of a cloudy start tomorrow morning across the far north of Scotland, but the cloud and the rain here is going to clear away, and then for many it's fine and sunny for a large chunk of the day before a bit more cloud pushes in from the west later on, and we are going to see some further wet weather arriving in the far west later. That's going to spread across most parts on Thursday. Temperatures for many tomorrow up a couple of degrees on today. Bye-bye.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
And now your chance to live mortgage or rent-free for a year. You get a bonus £5,000 into your bank, all part of the latest Great British giveaway.
And guess what? Even if you haven't got a mortgage or rent to pay, lucky them, they can still enter and win £15,000. So here are all the details that you need.
This is your chance to live mortgage or rent-free for an entire year in the latest Great British giveaway. That's right, we'll give you a cash lump sum that will cover 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, up to an incredible £20,000. Plus, we'll add £5,000 on top of that for you to treat yourself. And if you don't have a mortgage or rent to pay, lucky you, we'll give you £15,000 in cash instead. You have to hurry though, as lines will close on the 29th of August. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Up next, problems in our prisons. They haven't got room for inmates. There are not enough of them. They're not big enough. We'll be telling you more about that, getting your views on that, talking to Anne Widdecombe about all of that right after this.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. No, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Farage, Monday to Thursday from 7 p.m.
Just a few weeks after reuniting with Black Sabbath and performing a farewell concert for fans. And I'm joined now by Alex Dyke, radio DJ, broadcaster, formerly of the BBC, who's going to pay a bit of a tribute, I think, to Ozzy Osbourne. Alex, welcome.
Thank you very much, Nigel. You know, Ozzy will probably be remembered as the guy who shouted at his wife in the Osbourne's reality TV show from the early 2000s. But there was so much more, Nigel, to Ozzy than that. He was a pioneer of heavy metal rock. And you've got to remember, in the very early 70s, the rock that was coming out of Britain after the Beatles had split up was progressive rock. It was self-indulgent 6-minute drum solos and things like that, you know, when you think back to early Genesis and Jethro Tull. But Ozzy wasn't that at all. He was a heavy metal pioneer and a heavy metal hero. He sold over 100 million albums with his band Black Sabbath, who fired him in... Nigel, did you know he was fired by Black Sabbath?
I didn't know that. For what reason?
He was fired, Nigel, because of his drug and drink problems. He was addicted. And when we do look back at him 20 years ago in the early noughties in the Osbournes, you could see then he was frail. His body was shot because he had abused his body so badly through drink and drugs. But Sharon Osbourne, of course, his wife, was his second wife. She was his manager, and he married her in the early 80s. And he came back as a solo star with a brilliant first album called Blizzard of Oz. Ozzy was all about showbiz.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Right, a new independent review by the former Chief Inspector of Prisons has found that the prison system was within days of collapse on numerous occasions last year.
Yes, the report found that there was a systemic problem with the cost of building new prisons nearly doubling to £10.1 billion.
How did we get into that position? Will we be in that position again? Former Minister for Prisons, Anne Widdecombe, delighted to talk to you today, Anne. But this is quite shocking, really, isn't it?
It is shocking in one way, but in another way, I think it's an entirely predictable report. We've known for some time now through successive ministers and governments. We have known that prisons has been very much the Cinderella service. It's the one that never quite gets all the attention that it should have. And of course, eventually, what happens is the problems become so multiple and so difficult that the situation becomes pretty well intolerable. And what we've got to remember is that if you have overcrowded prisons, they can become tinderboxes. They really can, because prisoners, particularly in hot weather like this, in overcrowded conditions, fed up to the back teeth with everything, not getting enough purposeful activity because the prison officers are focusing on security and other duties, and all that adds up, and that's when you get riots and unrest.
So this isn't fixed, this isn't cured?
Absolutely not. I mean, it is curable. What we have to do, first of all, is to get more prison space. I mean, that is crucial. The second thing that we have to do after that is to do what Vanessa Frake was talking about at the Reform Conference yesterday, I think it was, or the day before, what she was talking about, and saying you've really got to get, and I've been saying this since 1999, a full day of purposeful activity for every single prisoner. And if you don't have that, and you just have idleness and discontent building up, you don't do any good. And the person who leaves the prison gates is no more likely to lead a law-abiding life than he was when he came in.
And how do we attract and retain prison officers as well? Because that's the challenge in itself. I mean, you've spoken about the tinderbox situation in prisons, and there's self-harm and fighting that's increased in prisons, but also attacks on prison officers. How do you make it a career that people actually want to do?
Well, that's usually the first thing to increase when you get widespread dissatisfaction. They do tend to assault the officers. And how do you attract them? Well, first of all, you've got to make the job worthwhile. I mean, very few people, some maybe, but very few people that I ever met when I was prisons minister who were working in prisons just wanted to be warehousing prisoners. They wanted to be doing something sensible with them. They wanted the rehabilitation regimes. They wanted the time to be able to talk to prisoners. So first of all, you've got to actually make the job worth doing. And then, of course, you've got to get the pay right, but that applies right across the public sector. That's nothing unique to prisons.
Yeah. So, Anne, I'm trying to look ahead. You've got pre-plan this sort of stuff. I mean, it's so far in advance, and it's about planning to get that right as well. I'm of the opinion that taxpayers don't object to their money being spent on prisons or police officers or whatever. Why do politicians think that they do?
Well, of course, it's the old adage that there are no votes in prisons. And that means both literally, i.e. prisoners can't vote, but it also means metaphorically that, you know, the nation's got lots of things to worry about and prisons are very rarely at the top of the list. But when they do rise up the list, it's because of situations like this. I mean, I'm old enough to remember the Strangeways riots when you had prisoners on the roofs and all the rest of it. And then we had a very major report carried out by a judge. And then we had change. But I don't think we should let things get to that stage. We should acknowledge that we need change and explain it to the taxpayer. I think what the taxpayer is disillusioned with is that they don't feel prison does any good. They think people don't spend long enough there. They're let out early in order to make room, which is certainly true at the moment, and that not much happens in between. And purposeless prisons are a waste of time.
Okay. Well, thank you. I hope we haven't wasted your time this morning. Always good to hear from you and your opinions. Thank you very much indeed. And Widdicombe is a former prisons minister. The time now exactly 8:30.
Now, if you're travelling to work this morning, here's your traffic and travel update.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the A9 Kessock Bridge, high winds continue closing access to high-sided vehicles, impacting travel conditions. In Warwickshire, on the A5 northbound, congestion is causing delays between the A444 and the junction with the M42, adding about half an hour to journey times. On the M4 eastbound, planned maintenance at junction 24 Coldra has led to closures on both exit and entry slip roads, with diversions managing flow. And on the trains, there are disruptions on the Elizabeth line between Reading and London Paddington, and more disturbances on Great Western Railway between Plymouth and Gunnislake. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record. You say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Hello, good seeing you again. Here we are on a Tuesday morning. It's Tuesday, August the 5th, which may not mean anything to you unless it's your birthday. Paul Coit, tell us more.
It's not my birthday, but I do have some... Shall we start off with some birthdays, shall we? Let's do that.
Yes.
OK. That's Patrick Reed. Patrick Reed, golfer, American golfer, Masters champion 2008. Lots of controversies around Patrick Reed. He's been accused of cheating a fair bit, which he's always denied. Of course he has, because he's a golfer. How old is he? So, Ellie, you know the rules when it comes to golfers. That's pretty much how he looks now. Usually you have to, you know, they always look older. So
yeah,
take a few years off. Always take a few years off.
I'd say then 48.
48? Well, you think he looks that old? So you think he looks about 58?
Yeah.
50.
50? 35.
Oh.
Way off.
Oh, no.
Well, that's theory.
He was a very young Masters winner, wasn't he?
Yeah. Theory's helping there. Yeah.
OK,
yeah.
sorry.
Let's
That's
go.
a warm-up for
OK, it's just a warm-up. It doesn't count. It's just a warm-up there. OK, let's go with another. That's Wayne Bridge there. Wayne Bridge, Southampton, Chelsea, Man City.
Married to Frankie Bridge.
He is indeed. 36 England caps.
Used to live round the corner from me.
Did you ever go round for his birthday?
No, but I used to see him in the pub.
Did you?
For meals and things like that, you know.
Nice.
I'd say...
Nice fella.
Wayne Bridge is... I'd say about 45.
Oh, OK.
What were you? Where were you going?
I was thinking late 30s.
Were you?
Well,
which is obviously wrong. So I'm going to go for...
I wouldn't say it's
no, I haven't given anything
They've
away.
got kids, haven't they? Well, I'm just trying to think how old Frankie would be, but then Frankie might be younger. I'm going to go 41.
45.
Oh, yes.
Is correct.
Well done.
Yes, good.
Very good.
And he's fit as a fiddle.
I've got a Manchester United question for you.
OK.
Manchester United, this day... Manchester United became the first senior British team to win a competitive match by a penalty shootout.
Really?
It was this day is the anniversary. It was in the Watney Cup against Hull.
That was the old League Cup.
Yeah, Watney Cup.
Yeah. Do you know what Watney's was?
No.
It was a Red Barrel beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the adverts used to be the Red Barrel, didn't they? The Watney.
Watney's Red Barrel.
There you go. Who scored? Who was the first one to score?
Ooh.
That's not the question, because the question is what year was it?
OK, I would say...
Who would have been the first one? Well, guess the year, because the thing is then you've got to get the year right.
Well, I would say Watney's would have been about 1968, 70.
Good.
Is that good?
70 is the right answer.
Right,
well
good.
1970. So who was the first one to score?
Right.
Who was the first one to miss?
Well, I would say Bobby Charlton was the first one to score.
No, you're in the right... There's going to be three, isn't there? So it's not Bobby.
It's Dennis.
Was the first to miss.
And George was the first to score.
George Best was the first to score.
Known as the Holy Trinity.
Trinity.
Yes. There's your big
Right on the tip of my tongue.
One more for you. 1 year ago today, Keely Hodgkinson won the gold medal at the Olympics.
And then we chatted to her, didn't we?
We did. What was the event? Oh, can you remember?
Running. Sprinting. 100 metres.
1,500 metres.
1,500 metres.
Lower.
1,000.
800 metres.
Yes! 800 metres.
I knew
Just keeping you on your toes. 800 metres. A year ago today, that was.
Good, that was very entertaining. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Paul.
A pleasure.
OK, we'll leave it there. And the time is now 8:39.
Yes.
Exactly. And we're going to go through the newspapers next. We do that in the company of David Wooding and Esther Kaku.
Kaku.
Yeah. Kaku.
Oh, there they are.
There they are there.
Ready to chat to us in just a few minutes. But first, if you're in the search for holiday sun, here's where the sun is shining across Europe.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean all clear skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Around eastern parts of the Mediterranean, we have some showery rain, which could be a little bit heavy at times. It's a drier picture further west, albeit some showery rain not too far from Madeira at the moment. Worth bearing in mind, temperatures across parts of Portugal and Spain, they're rising. We're going to get some heatwave conditions through the next couple of days, with temperatures peaking in the low 40s. But like I said, across parts of Greece into Turkey, here we do have some showery rain. Otherwise, the outlook is for things to be largely dry and sunny.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Sir Jacob Rees-Mogg's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday from 8 p.m.
I thought you'd set up a new version of Pimlico Plumbers in London.
Yeah, my family have set up a company called We Fix London, but we started planning that, 2 years before Labour got in. If we'd known Labour was getting in, we wouldn't have planned it. So obviously we've got to comply with the tax regulations, but anybody with any sense would agree with what I'm saying. The taxes are too high in the UK for wealthy people. Wealthy people can go and work anywhere in the world and be financially a lot better off.
And we had a non-dom regime that was basically stable for 200 years. It's only recently that it's been changed. And we're changing it and making it harder, just as other countries are making it easier. So you can go to Italy and you can negotiate an amount that you will pay. Portugal's been welcoming people. Malta's been welcoming people. All over the world, countries are saying, please come and bring your money. And the UK is saying, we're going to take all your money. We don't want you anymore.
That's right. Look, they're all encouraging sort of UK business people to come there, and it's working. If you become a tax exile in Italy, you pay 200 grand for the year. You don't have to pay no more. But the real problem is we're wasting their money, and they should be encouraging entrepreneurs to be staying. I think our biggest export at the moment is wealthy people.
So you're a businessman. You know how to do things and make a profit. If you're advising the Chancellor on how to get the money the country needs to pay for the public services, what would you be saying? Because at the moment, the tax revenues don't meet our expenditure. There is a gap. Something needs to give.
Resign.
All right, but that's not the answer.
GB News, the People's Channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
David Wooding and Esther Krakow going through the papers today. And this is a very in subject and has been for well over a year now, David. We go to the Mail, page 4, they're reporting fat jab patients must be tracked for a year after they come off whichever drug it is they are on.
Yeah, well, this is all about what happens, in fact, even if you're just on a diet, calorie-controlled diet, you tend to lose all this weight and then pile it on afterwards. And there's something like 1.5 million people who are on one of these weight loss drugs, and perhaps 500,000 or so with the greatest need of getting it on the NHS. But while you lose something like up to 20% of your body weight within, say, just over a year, many are putting it back on so quickly. Yeah. So it's a way, particularly if it's on the NHS, what's the point of losing all that weight and then putting it back on again? So the wise.
I mean, this is what happens when you don't build a lifestyle around health and fitness, because while they do give you all the advice about, you know, this is not a one-size-fits-all or a quick fix, and you have to get your steps in and actually change your lifestyle. That's just words. You actually, people have to do it. And I know there are some operations that the NHS will not do unless you've lost weight and you've shown consistently that you can lose weight. And I'm wondering why it's any different for these. I know it's just a kickstart, but again, you have to. Someone has to show that they have the discipline to maintain.
So you have to put the work in
before you get the accelerated boost with these. I think because the NHS does apply those stipulations to certain operations which are expensive. I'm sure giving 500,000 people these drugs are not cheap. Even going privately, I think it's about £180 a dose, which you have to take monthly.
See, I often look and admire David Wooding, and I think, look at that, he's
a slim pin.
He's the body of an Adonis there. And I just wanted to ask you, if you don't mind answering, David, do you work at that, or is that natural?
Well, I do go to the gym. I'm an active person. I can't sit still for very long. But I naturally eat things which are not fattening. I don't like a lot of fat foods. I don't have a sweet tooth. My wife says to me, you know, you naturally eat a Weight Watchers diet without actually thinking about it.
That's a big help.
So again, diet is a big thing, and a bit of exercise. I mean, I'm not a mad exerciser. I don't go to the gym every day pumping iron, but
the balance is all
there. I'm walking a little bit. as well.
You're a keen walker, aren't you? The thing is with these fat jabs, I think they're fantastic for people who need or want to get weight off, but it needs to be coincided with some sort of program where you're actually learning about what to put in your body and what best to eat, or maybe start the program
and do it for about 8 months. And then if you're consistent about it, then it's like, okay, we're going to give you the jab. Because I think at some point, mark my words, 5 years from now, we're going to realise that it's been a huge waste because we didn't actually get people proactively in that lifestyle beforehand.
Well, she lived until 90, Dame Stella Remington we're talking about, and she was the former head of MI5. Tell us about this remarkable lady, David.
Well, she's died aged 90. She one of the first, or one of the most famous women to break the glass ceiling. And she was the inspiration for the M in the James Bond film played by Judi Dench, who, according to one of the obituaries I read this morning in the Telegraph, I think, she actually, some of the outfits which Judi Dench wore were modelled on what Stella Remington wore. She was a housewife who was given a clerk's job in MI5 while her husband was working in India. And she was tapped on the shoulder and said, do you want to be a spy? And she worked her way through the ranks. And then in 92, not only became the first woman to head MI5, but also the first MI5 chief to be named publicly. As a result, she had to move house because pictures of her house appeared in the paper. And then she was replaced, of course, by Liza Manningham-Buller, who became the second woman in that job. Unlike Liza Manningham-Buller, she was never given a damehood. And I think this was probably because she brought out a controversial memoir after she left.
On the question of spying, I'd like both your opinions on this one. Front page of the Mail today, Iran has asked the Taliban for a spy kill list. Just explain that to me, David.
Well, this is that story which broke a few weeks ago about the list of Afghans, 25,000 of them who'd helped British forces, being leaked. It now appears that Iran are speaking to the Taliban, asking for the list because it contains the names of special forces and MI6 operators, which would be of use to them ahead of the talks on nuclear disarmament.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why they're bothering to ask Iran, why Iran is bothering to ask the Taliban. They could just go on Facebook because apparently that's where the list was first leaked. And this was why the scramble happened and they managed to bring so many people, thousands of Afghans clandestinely into the UK. We were talking about this backstage, about whether this was one of the reasons why Rishi Sunak called the election when he did, because actually the injunction would have run out in a few weeks, and knowing anything about the media, you'd have journalists circling the moat trying to get the story out. So this was probably something that might have expedited why the Tories wanted to call the election so quickly, because they would have ended up with like 20 MPs in Parliament, really, if this story had broken in then.
Esther, let's take a look at the Daily Mail and stay with you. We were talking about this earlier, weren't we, Eamonn? This is a study that suggests that you are likely to be safer on a plane if the pilot is a woman.
Yes, and it's kind of the same theory around female snipers, exactly, which the argument that women have steadier hands and cooler heads when in the cockpit. Now, I feel like the statistics around this are a little bit skewed because 90% of pilots are men, so obviously they make up the majority of accidents as well. So we don't actually know very much about women and their female pilots and the statistics around accidents or whatever. But the theory is here that women are predisposed to being just cooler under pressure and a bit steadier than men.
Are you cool under pressure, Esther?
It depends on the type of pressure. I think if I'm scared, my first reaction is to punch something. So this is why I can't do haunted houses, because I'm like, if someone jumps up, I will kick you in a place.
So you're fight.
Exactly. I'm the fighter.
Go fight, and I'm a fight. I'd be running.
But it depends. If it's something where I have to drive or something like that, then I'm fine.
Yeah. I think it depends on the female pilot, because I would not be calm in a stressful situation. Otherwise, I'm an awful driver. So I'm best out of
I'm glad you can admit that.
That
shows how far we've come now, because I remember when I first became a journalist, you write a story, become a page lead in the paper, about a woman becoming a bus driver.
Yes, gosh, a bus driver.
I mean, that was like woman, doing a man's job. And now we don't think twice. I mean, I've flown away places and we've had female pilots.
No, you don't think twice, but still wouldn't be common. Like, say, take a woman bin lorry driver or something like that. I'm sure there's not too many, but I mean, you're right. If you did see one, you wouldn't blink, really.
No.
They still only make up 10% of pilots, though, women.
Is that right?
Yeah, so it's still a really male-dominated field. Let's go from planes to cars, shall we, Esther? How car journeys are a disaster with children in the back seat.
Yes, so apparently almost 1 in 3 drivers have had a near miss thanks to children having a meltdown in the back seat. And I was saying that I don't understand the concept of this, because I don't remember being a child and saying, "Are we there yet?" all this, because my mum would just be like, "No," and then we'd just be quiet. But apparently, like, siblings fight in the back of the car.
Where do you get a child like that?
I know.
You were disciplined,
I'd fall asleep. We're not there yet. I don't understand what kicking up a fuss is. Maybe I was a different type of child. But yeah, siblings bickering, screaming, a barrage of questions. Apparently, parents get so distracted.
That must be so distracting.
I thought the story was going to be they throw the kids out of the window.
Yes. Is that you could do? I could throw them out of the window when I see litter. You see, what I can't stand is a dirty car. I mean, a clean car goes better. It's just a wonderful environment to be in, whatever. And then you see kids with fingers and on the windows and everything. That honestly, I'm not joking you. That really brings me out in a rash.
David?
Well, yes, the kids in the back. We used to play. We had these tapes of noddy stories and things we used to play just to keep them quiet in the back. Because, you get the, "Are we there yet? No. Are we there yet? No."
Why don't they just go to sleep?
Were you really that good? Were you really just say, I'm not...
What? The answer is no. I don't know. Maybe I don't have much of an imagination, but like, you're in a car. What is there to do other than sit?
I spy with my little eye.
Oh, yeah, we used to play that.
Something beginning.
Yeah, we used to play
Counting red cars or blue cars, pick a certain thing, the first one to get to 20. But it doesn't last for a long journey.
Apparently, having a clean car leads to a clean mind. It influences you just to have a better lifestyle overall. If you're journeying somewhere in a really clean car. It's so true.
I am a clean freak, I do.
Your car is pristine, actually.
It is.
Come to think of it. So do you feel like your whole life now is influenced by your clean car?
The car thing was bribery for me. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but when I was, 16, 17, and you used to have a provisional driving licence, so you had to have a driver with you in the car. But I used to get my older brother who could drive, and then I would say to my dad, "Dad, will we take your car and get it clean today?" And do that sort of thing. And so you just think of any old stupid excuse just to get it moving. And there was, in the 70s, there was so much chrome in a car to polish. Completely different hubcaps, all sorts of things, the bumpers, everything was chrome. Now they're just all sort of black plastic.
You have 2 different lots of polish, didn't you? You had one polish for the bodywork, and you had the chrome cleaner for the bumpers.
Yes.
Oh,
that's it. But there we go. Guys, thank you very much. Very, very good to meet you today, Esther. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
David, always a pleasure. Thank you. Come back again, both of you. The time now is 6 minutes before 9 o'clock, and that means we're going to give you an update now on the whole weather situation and what happened with Storm Florence yesterday. yesterday. Where's Flores gone, and will he be back? Here's Alex Burkle.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, very good morning to you. I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, Storm Flores is clearing away and we are going to see the strongest winds really easing out as well. But there are plenty of showers to watch out for, piling in on those brisk, blustery north-northwesterly winds. So further heavy showers across Scotland, Northern Ireland, feeding into parts of Northern England and perhaps North Wales as well. In between the showers, there will be some sunny spells, but it's across southern areas where the sunshine is going to be pretty prolonged. And in that sunshine, temperatures, well, not quite as high as they have been through some recent days, but nonetheless getting into the low, possibly mid-20s. A few degrees fresher than this further north and feeling it because of those blustery winds. Like I said, those winds are easing and so they're going to continue to drop out as we go through this evening, and the showers are going to start to ease and clear away from the west as well. That being said, there will still be a scattering of showers across many parts of Scotland as we go through the end of the day. Turning dry though across Northern Ireland, a few showers for parts of Northern England, but much of Wales, central southern England, it is looking fine to end the day with some late sunshine around as well. Overnight, all those showers are going to die out and clear away, but there is going to be a spell of more cloud and a bit of rain affecting the far north of Scotland. Elsewhere, though, largely dry and with a ridge of high pressure building, that's going to calm things down. With clear skies and lighter winds, perfect ingredients for temperatures to take a bit of a drop. Yes, towns and cities will hold up in double figures, but in more rural spots, it is going to turn pretty cool, could drop to mid-single figures in a few places. A bit of a cloudy start tomorrow morning across the far north of Scotland, but the cloud and the rain here is going to clear away, and then for many it's fine and sunny for a large chunk of the day before a bit more cloud pushes in from the west later on, and we are going to see some further wet weather arriving in the far west later. That's going to spread across most parts on Thursday. Temperatures for many tomorrow up a couple of degrees on today. Bye-bye.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A9 Kessock Bridge is closed to high-sided vehicles due to strong winds. An accident occurred on the eastbound M4 between junction 32 Corryton and junction 30 Cardiff Gate. In West Berkshire, one lane of the eastbound M4 between junctions 13 and 12 is shut due to a road traffic collision, causing delays. Warwickshire's A5 northbound between the A444 and the junction with the M42 is congested with delays. And on the trains, Elizabeth Line services between Reading and London Paddington are disrupted, along with Great Western Railway services between Plymouth, Gunnerslake and Reading to London Paddington. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
This is your chance to live mortgage or rent-free for an entire year. We'll give you a cash lump sum that will cover 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, up to an incredible £20,000. Plus, we'll add £5,000 on top of that for you to treat yourself. You have to hurry though, as lines will close on the 29th of August. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Good morning. The one-in, one-out migrant return deal will begin today.
The government has announced that potential detentions are set to begin by the end of the week.
However, critics have hit out at the scheme with reports that only 50 people a week will be returned to France.
So, is this yet another gimmick? Or can't see what the rest of that says. Sorry.
Well, earlier we spoke to Shadow Business Secretary Andrew Griffith.
France is a safe country. It is a permanent 5 member of the United Nations. Along with the United Kingdom, it gave human rights to the world. No one should be in fear of death or prosecution in France.
Well, the government says it's groundbreaking. The Conservative says it won't make a blind bit of difference. Who's right?
Britain's prison system came within days of collapse on a number of occasions between autumn 2023 and summer 2024. A damning new report sheds light on the capacity crisis and urgent staffing issues.
Rail disruptions set to continue after Storm Floris battered Britain with 90-mile-per-hour winds, causing train cancellations and mass power cuts. The latest on that.
Students across Scotland find out their exam results today. We'll be live with those young people as they find out their futures.
After a stormy day yesterday, it's much calmer today, albeit with some blustery winds and fairly frequent showers across northern parts. Stick around for the details.
Hello there, good to see you, good to have you on board. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast. Just seeing if there's any more views coming in terms of teachers. Charles said, I'm 78. When we were at primary school, I had about half men teachers and half women teachers. Our head was male too. He's 78 years old. That's a bit like you. You said you had quite a number of male teachers.
Yeah. But most of them were needed, I suppose, from a sports point of view. In those days, in the 60s, you didn't have women taking sports classes. Well, not for young. I went to an all-boys school, and I suppose that was it there.
I also think for a boys' school, having a positive male role model is really important.
Absolutely, really important, absolutely. And as I say, Mr. Paddy O'Hanlon, from year 4 to year 7 at primary school, he was so good and so influential to me that I devote 3 pages to him in my autobiography.
Yeah, this is the thing. Yeah. I mean, a good teacher will stay with you for life.
And when I think about people who've had influence in my life, a disproportionate amount of teachers have. You know, you look up to both men and women. And women teachers were interesting to me because I was from a family of boys only. The only woman I really knew was my mother.
Mum?
Because I had 4 other brothers and my dad and myself, and then, so all boys, and that was it. So.
And they offer something different, don't they? I think female teachers in primary school are very nurturing, and they'd be very kind, and they're teaching you how to, grow up.
Yeah, whereas, I think there's an empathy there straight away
maternal side. Whereas a male teacher, I think, is more, especially for boys, it would be discipline, wouldn't it? And being a good example. Mm-hmm. And, sports, keeping fit, that kind of thing. Both have their benefits.
But we had, our male teachers were the only ones who wielded the ruler, the stick, the strap, everything.
They wouldn't take any nonsense.
They just like giving it. That's what I would say.
Oh, well.
Keir Starmer, right, 1 in, 1 out. What do you make of this one? It says migrant deal with France and it starts today.
Well, the government says anyone crossing the channel could face immediate detention and return within days.
Well, the EU-approved pilot gets the UK to send people back to France if their claim is deemed what is termed indismissible.
Well, in exchange for asylum seekers who have family ties to Britain. But just 50 returns a week are expected, and that's despite record crossings. The critics are warning it's too slow, it's too small, and it offers no safe legal alternatives.
Let's get the thoughts now of our political correspondent, Catherine Forster, on this one. Catherine, what are you making of this as this develops this morning?
Well, will it work? I think that's the critical question, because the numbers this year, 25,000, up 50% on where we were this time last year. So
well, if it works, people are going to be very, very surprised, Catherine, judging by the reaction we've had this morning.
Indeed, because it might sound good in that, you know, you can be removed if you arrive illegally, but I think the word is can, and also the numbers, because although the government are not confirming, it sounds like only around 50 people crossing each week might actually be sent back to France. And sometimes you get nearly 100 on a single boat. You can have hundreds coming in a single day. So the government are trumpeting this as, you know, a really big deal.
Yeah.
Yvette Cooper says it's groundbreaking. They say it's not a silver bullet, but they think that this is going to make a difference. But it really needs to deter people from coming. And with those numbers, it's hard to see really that it will, although they are saying that they're going to ramp up the pace. This is only a pilot scheme. It's only for a year. I think they will need to ramp up the pace considerably to get to a point, if they can, that people have second thoughts about making the journey.
Is this a sign that this government is under pressure, and they know they're under pressure, of course, with the protests that we've seen outside the asylum hotels in recent weeks? Because this was due to start, wasn't it, at the end of the month, and it's been brought forward a number of weeks. Is this all that the government is going to offer, or is this part of a much wider plan, do you think?
Well, it's part of a wider plan. And, I mean, in fairness to the government, since they came in, they have been talking about smashing the gangs. They have made a whole host of announcements. They did a deal with Germany, cracking down on, you know, the boats that are stored there. A whole host of ideas. He went to Rome to talk to Giorgia Meloni. There's legislation with France allowing them to wade into the water. Of course, we're paying France hundreds of millions to stop these crossings, and have been doing for several years now, with not much to show for it. So they're trying to do a lot of things. They also say they're trying to crack down on illegal working. That, of course, is one of the pull factors, and we've seen, haven't we, outside these asylum hotels, Deliveroo bikes, you know, people working in the gig economy illegally who are not allowed to be doing. And, you know, people will feel that these people come across, they are rewarded. They're put in a nice hotel, they get their food, their board, most of them are allowed to stay. It's no wonder, really, is it, that there is so much anger, given how many people in Britain are struggling with day-to-day costs.
OK, Catherine, thank you very much.
Mitchell, good morning to you. Mitchell says, one in, one out. This Labour government takes the British public for fools. We know this won't work, even before it even starts.
Keep those views coming in, gbnews.com/your say. Now, at 7 minutes past 9, today is finally the day that thousands of Scots will find out their exam results.
Storm Flores yesterday, of course, put a temporary delay on a lot of things happening, and students are finding out their grades for national, for higher and advanced higher courses.
Well, joining us now is GB News Scotland reporter Tony Maguire. Morning to you, Tony.
Good morning. Yes, it's quite a big day for 147,000 Scots, and a little bit of an iffy start for many of them living in the Outer Hebrides, Orkney, Shetland. Storm Flores putting a dent in their mail delivery today, which means their results are going to get them a little bit later than intended. But of course, this is 2025. Those results are available online by email and of course by text messages for those who have obviously opted in. But obviously there's nothing quite beats opening that envelope in front of the family. Of course, it doesn't quite work out for everybody. You know, yesterday I spent a little bit of time with Skills Development Scotland, a Scottish Government operation to help guide people through their chosen career paths. And obviously on exam day, not everybody gets what they want. So I asked them kind of for what their advice was and what were perhaps the most common complaints or topics that were brought to them.
I think it's difficult. I think that most calls that we get on the line are people who have applied to university. And I think when you've got that goal in mind and things haven't worked out the way that you've expected, it can be quite difficult in the moment to let go of that plan that you had.
Even if you feel that you don't know what tomorrow's going to hold, you have so much to offer, and our advisors are here to help you to explore what would be a good place for you to go on to next.
You've got people to support you along the way, and whatever your results, it doesn't mean it's the end of the road for whatever your kind of chosen career is. There's lots of different options, so just try not panic and pick up the phone and speak to one of our careers advisors, and we can support you along the way.
Now, certainly earlier on I heard you talking about the old days where we used to see those pupils appear on television in the news in the morning, open the results suspiciously, getting quite a lot of A's and B's, I might add. But, you know, I think to be fair, there were schools in Scotland that were intending on doing that today, but Storm Flores took a lot of their kind of time resources yesterday, and unfortunately some of those events didn't happen. However, this afternoon we are going to be meeting the Education Secretary, Jenny Gilruth, at Kings Park Secondary behind me. And it'll be interesting to hear her take on this, what is essentially going to be the swan song from the Scottish Qualifications Authority, soon to be replaced by Qualifications Scotland. But if you're out there waiting your results, which are due to drop, I guess, any moment now, then good luck to you when you open them.
Tony, appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed.
Let's go straight to Westminster Magistrates Court now, shall we, where former Arsenal midfielder Thomas Partey is appearing, charged with raping 2 women. He was charged 4 days before leaving Arsenal back in June. He faces 5 counts of rape and 1 count of sexual assault. That 1 count of sexual assault relates to a 3rd woman. These alleged offences took place between 2021 and 2022. And his lawyers previously said that he's denied all of the charges against him and he's looking forward to finally clearing his name in court.
And we combine that with another rape story leading the newspapers today. TV's Jay Blades on 2 rape charges as well. So the repair shop presenter accused of 2 rapes as well. 11 minutes past 9 o'clock. Still to come. 2 years since the Crooked House near Dudley was burnt down. This is a pub which was really crooked, and it was a suspected arson attack, and we're going to bring you there to tell you what the latest is going to be, because it was knocked down. The order from the authorities is it should be rebuilt, but can it be after this?
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record. You say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
We were just talking about how good our Great British Giveaway competition is now, and it'll be of particular interest to you if you have a mortgage, if you're paying rent as well. But what if you're not? What if you're not, Ellie?
Well, if you're not, you also can be in it to win it, because you can get £15,000 in cash. That's brilliant, isn't it? Here are all of the details that you need.
This is your chance to live mortgage or rent-free for an entire year in the latest Great British Giveaway. That's right, we'll give you a cash lump sum that will cover 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, up to an incredible £20,000. Plus, we'll add £5,000 on top of that for you to treat yourself. And if you don't have a mortgage or rent to pay, lucky you, we'll give you £15,000 in cash instead. You have to hurry though, as lines will close on the 29th of August. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, some of which could probably do with a mortgage at the minute or paying their rent is the Crooked House, which is a pub. And today is 2 years since the Crooked House near Dudley in the West Midlands was burnt down. This is a suspected arson attack.
Well, it was famous for its unique wonkiness, and it was wonky, wasn't it?
Wonkiness is
it had
a
its
good word.
charm.
You know the way you like words, that expressive words? Wonkiness
yeah,
is a
wonky
good...
is a great word.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the fire and the subsequent demolition of the pub days later sparked outrage in the community. But campaigners say they're still hopeful that it can and it will be rebuilt.
Let's go to our national reporter, Jack Carson. Jack has looked back at the last 2 years.
It is like a death.
You can say, oh, what if, but it's gone.
The whole of the community is so sad and they're slowly getting angry now.
We're going to fight every corner we can to get justice for what's happened here.
2 years ago, a community was in grief. Today, they're more determined than ever. When the Crooked House was gutted by a suspected arson attack and then illegally demolished, the people of the Black Country felt like it was a blitz on their history. Originally built in the 18th century, the pub suffered subsidence because of mining in the area, giving its unique appearance that visitors fell in love with. In February last year, South Staffordshire Council served an enforcement order on the owners ATE Farms, ordering them to rebuild the pub within 3 years. After appealing the order and a subsequent decision from the High Court, the planning enforcement inquiry will have to wait until any potential criminal proceedings have concluded. Investigations by the police are ongoing. For the campaigners who want to see this landmark rebuilt, the passion is only stronger, as Paul Turner from Save the Crooked House explains.
Well, we all felt it was ours. You know, we're Black Country people. We felt that, you know, this is our area, this is our iconic pub. This is so people come from miles around and from all over the world. All of a sudden, just like that, it's gone. We were always very proud of it. Although it's had different owners over the years, it was always ours as a community. Got a lot to think about if the Crooked House is ever going to be built. There's lots of legal issues. The site isn't ours. We can't rebuild the Crooked House, so it's very, very complicated legally. But we know what our end goal is, and how we actually get to that end goal is going to be a little bit complicated. But we're still focusing on that.
For local councillor Ian Sandall, the pub meant so much more than just a place to drink. He says conversations with those in power need to continue to keep the pressure on.
Part of the problem and part of the public grief is the fact that it was ripped away so quickly, so suddenly, without even a thought to the Black Country heritage and our Black Country culture. We've got to keep pushing this in the offices of people that can make a difference, and that is exactly what's happening behind the scenes.
As part of a partnership with the Campaign for Real Ales, people are being urged to mark the anniversary by raising a glass and toasting the Crooked House across social media. While there's still anger in this community at what happened 2 years ago, campaigners have not lost hope that the world's wonkiest pub will rise from the rubble. Jack Carson, GB News.
Lots of you getting in touch today on all of the stories that we have been talking about. Joe says, Eamonn, it's a pity that the other Crooked House in Westminster didn't suffer the same fate. Talking about this pub here. Terry says, wish we could do a one in, one out on the front bench. We need a more sensible government. And Grumpy says, one in, one out, another Labour fairy story is going to cost us a fortune. I'm
That's
sure
all the
they
gloomy
love
stuff.
wasting money.
Happier things. Today, on Tuesday, August the 5th, is Dolly Parton Day.
I love Dolly.
I love her. There was a big documentary about her on at the weekend as well. She's 79 years of age, and she has got 11 titles in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Has she?
Yeah. They include the longest span of #1 hits. They cover 46 years and 197 days at #1. Isn't that amazing?
She's an amazing lady.
She also holds the record for the most decades with a top 20 hit. Favourite Dolly song? Jolene,
It's got to be Jolene. It's got to be Jolene.
Jolene.
She's amazing, isn't she?
Anyway.
There's no one quite like her.
And no one quite like Miriam here.
Do you know, I saw Dolly Parton in concert at the O2. I was sceptical. It was the best concert I've ever been to.
Yeah.
Oh.
She was sensational. That woman could play music with this plastic pen. She's extraordinary. She came up with something that looked like a bit of a corrugated metal and just created music out of it. I mean, she is unbelievable.
She's a raw talent, isn't she?
Dirt
Paul brought up, wasn't she? But she had this great musical talent.
Tom Jones is also unbelievable, and I went to see him during the week. And if he made one mistake, brilliant voice, the man's 85 or so, incredible. But he only sang 4 hits or so, and then sang all this new stuff. I don't want to know the new stuff.
You want Delilah.
Yeah.
Why would you want Delilah? That's what you want.
Surely he did Delilah.
He did do
Delilah.
Delilah.
Good.
Yeah.
I bet that was good.
Yeah.
I saw him a few years ago to a Tory fundraising event, and I got to tell you, some of those old dowagers, you've never seen so many Zimmer phrase flung across the floor as they got on that dance floor. Tom Jones. Absolutely. He was brilliant.
Great. What have you got, guys? What are you going to look forward to today?
Well, we are going to be discussing, of course, this one in, one out deal, which is Labour's latest plans to smash the gangs. But can it really make any difference?
No chance. I don't know why we're even discussing
the
it.
maximum, they say, will be returned as 50 a week, while we're seeing 10 times.
That's before the lawyers get involved.
Exactly.
That's right. Yeah.
And pretty much everybody has a connection to Britain somewhere down the line, so it's hard to see who exactly is going to be rejected. We're also going to be looking at the private schools VAT, whether that has had the impact that the government has said it would, or whether it's just closed a load of schools and not brought in any revenue.
Because there's a trick now. You can pay it in advance, and if you do, you can dodge the VAT.
But that's only a one-off scheme, because parents could do that before the VAT came in for 1 year only.
Yeah.
So that won't apply anymore. But nevertheless, it takes huge chunks out of the revenue that the Treasury thought they were going to get from this scheme.
Perhaps not the revenue raiser they thought.
Yeah, quite. Yeah.
We've also got a really interesting interview with Cindy Yu, who writes for The Times, about China.
Brilliant.
She's absolutely brilliant. Now, one of the things you think about China is huge population, but actually that's not going to carry on for very long because their birth rate has dropped dramatically, and they've now got a very, very fast ageing population and very few babies being born. The Chinese government is trying to decide what to do about this. After so long telling people to only have one child, they're now trying to reverse this, but with no success.
Do you think culturally now Chinese families would only want one child?
Imagine if you've been grown up, for years people have grown up as the only child, loving it, being fated by two parents, sets of grandparents, they want the same for their child.
And they've got 2 generations of people with no cousins, no uncles and aunts. It's a very different paradigm shift. Yeah.
Well, have a good show, guys, and thank you very much indeed.
And we're going to the weather.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, very good morning to you. I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, Storm Floris is clearing away and we are going to see the strongest winds really easing out as well. But there are plenty of showers to watch out for, piling in on those brisk, blustery north-northwesterly winds. So further heavy showers across Scotland, Northern Ireland, feeding into parts of Northern England and perhaps North Wales as well. In between the showers, there will be some sunny spells, but it's across southern areas where the sunshine is going to be pretty prolonged. And in that sunshine, temperatures, well, not quite as high as they have been through some recent days, but nonetheless getting into the low, possibly mid-20s. A few degrees fresher than this further north and feeling it because of those blustery winds. Like I said, those winds are easing and so they're going to continue to drop out as we go through this evening, and the showers are going to start to ease and clear away from the west as well. That being said, there will still be a scattering of showers across many parts of Scotland as we go through the end of the day. Turning dry though across Northern Ireland, a few showers for parts of Northern England, but much of Wales, central southern England, it is looking fine to end the day with some late sunshine around as well. Overnight, all those showers are going to die out and clear away, but there is going to be a spell of more cloud and a bit of rain affecting the far north of Scotland. Elsewhere, though, largely dry and with a ridge of high pressure building, that's going to calm things down. With clear skies and lighter winds, perfect ingredients for temperatures to take a bit of a drop. Yes, towns and cities will hold up in double figures, but in more rural spots, it is going to turn pretty cool, could drop to mid-single figures in a few places. A bit of a cloudy start tomorrow morning across the far north of Scotland, but the cloud and the rain here is going to clear away, and then for many it's fine and sunny for a large chunk of the day before a bit more cloud pushes in from the west later on, and we are going to see some further wet weather arriving in the far west later. That's going to spread across most parts on Thursday. Temperatures for many tomorrow up a couple of degrees on today. Bye-bye.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB